Today on an all-new Dr. Phil.
I just remember all the times we had. I'm so mad that he took those away.
A dramatic story about a father who has made a transition.
He had no right to do this to us.
Leaving two young daughters angry, lost, and confused.
I can never forgive him.
Now, a shocking father-daughter reunion like nothing you've ever seen.
Can you look at this person?
I can't. He told me to call you Mom. It's just nasty. It's just gross.
What is it that is gross to you?
The fact that this is my father.
Witness the shocking transformation from macho cop to woman.
They didn't make this change. You did. Coming up. Let's do it. I want you to get excited about your life.
Here we go, in 10.
Stand by, camera 6.
If it's happening now, we're going to deal with it now.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Stand by A, and roll A, track it. Go, Dr. Phil.
I first received a very compelling email from 21-year-old Christina about her father, Michael, who was a police officer, a soldier, and a loving dad. He lived 40 years as a man, and now is transitioning from male to female. We're going to treat today's topic with dignity and respect, and we're going to look at the impact that it has on the family members when someone makes this choice. Now, Christina's dad told her that he now wants to be called Michaela or Kayla or Mom. Both daughters refused. Now, Christina's younger sister, Carly, feels her dad, Michael, is just dead.
For 40 years, I was Michael. Michael does not exist anymore. He's more of a memory now than anything else. When I look at these pictures, I'm looking at a relative. We're like brother, sister. Starting my young adult life, I did go and seek out every masculine, macho job that I could find. Police officer, deputy sheriff, private investigator, construction worker, 2 branches of U.S. military. I did study martial arts. I became a manly man, very macho, skirt chaser, womanizer. Today I am known as Caleb.
My dad was very manly. He would always take care of me.
My father had a very large collection of guns. He had an arsenal. He was the manliest of men.
I was married legally a total of 3 times. I have 3 children, Christina, 21, Kevin, 18, and Carly, 13. Since my gender identity has changed, I don't have a relationship currently with my children. I revealed my new identity basically by allowing them to slowly watch it happen.
When my dad told me that he was going to live his life as a woman, it was on my 12th birthday. He called me on the phone and told me that I could either call him Mom or Aunt Kayla. I could not call him Daddy. I was in tears about it.
My father came to me at work to introduce himself to me as Michaela, the woman. My father was dressed in black lace, makeup, earrings, and very tight blue jeans with heels. I was very shocked.
I never had an opportunity to sit down and discuss much of it with any of them. It's devastating. The last time I saw my oldest daughter, Chrissy, was about 2 years ago. We live fairly close. She's 2 or 3 miles away. I've seen my youngest daughter, Carly, 3 times over the course of 2 or 3 months. I would love to rekindle a relationship with my daughters if that is what they want.
The thought of him being a woman just tears me apart. I wish my dad would just be a man again.
It still gets to me. It definitely still gets to me. We're supposed to always have our dad. He took that away. He's being very selfish.
Michaela says that she's never had the opportunity to sit down and explain this whole concept of living as a woman. Michael, now known as Kayla, wants the family to know why Michael is dead.
When I was a man, I was very heavy, very robust. And now as a woman, I am shorter, slighter of stature, long hair. I was a very feminine person now. The change in my identity was sort of a gradual thing, and the children became aware of it. I let my hair grow out. I became more feminine looking in the face. I have always been hippie. I do take hormones every day. I was beginning to develop breast tissue. My voice changed, it's softer. The pitch is maybe a little higher. I am mostly complete as a female. I just simply need the sex change operation itself. When I was 11 or 12 years of age, I did begin to feel that I was a female trapped in a male body. When I was in my teen years, I would buy different articles of female clothing. It could range from dresses to undergarments. I never would wear the clothing out in public. I would realize it was socially unacceptable, and I would throw them away only to buy them again later on. At the time, I didn't really understand what was going on, but I knew I could not stop it. Around 16 years of age, I just got so disgusted with the way things were, I just shelved it, and it stayed in the back of my mind for quite a number of years. The turning point for me was when my children were finally old enough to move on with their lives, then I felt like that was the time where I could move on with mine and go ahead and transform. I've been asked if I've made the wrong choice in terms of becoming a woman, and I like to just say that it's never been a choice. I was always meant to be a woman.
Well, joining me now is Kayla, formerly known as Michael, and his ex, Jennifer, the mother of his 13-year-old daughter, Carly. Now, in the audience is Cindy, also an ex, actually an ex-wife, and the mother of his 21-year-old daughter, Christina. And I certainly don't mean to be offensive or indelicate with pronouns of he or she or whatever. Legally, you're still a man.
Legally.
And legally, your name is still Michael.
Right.
But you do plan to have the operation.
Oh, absolutely.
To remove the male genitalia.
Right.
Okay. Now, what all have you done so far? Hormone treatments?
Basically, it's just been hormonal treatments. I haven't had any surgical enhancement of any type.
What inside you said this is the right thing to do?
It was just a thing over time. I don't really view it as really a choice. And if you just intend to continue to survive and live, you have to go with it.
So you believe that you are hardwired to be a woman in your brain, that this isn't a choice for you, but something that you were predisposed as a woman, but you're in a man's body.
Right, that's exactly what I believe.
And you pushed this back when you were in the military, when you were a policeman, when you went through all the macho type things that you've been doing. You just kind of pushed this back.
I think that was a way of pushing it back.
Has this been a shock to you? Did you see this coming in any way?
I did not see it coming in any way. It was a total shock.
Okay. And it's been a shock to your daughter?
A devastating shock.
Have you maintained your responsibilities as a father in life and to family?
We've gone about a 2-year time frame now where we haven't had a whole lot of a relationship between myself and the kids. Primarily, I felt like that's what they wanted, so I was giving them the time. I'm sure I went about it totally wrong, but I was trying to give them the time to cope.
Do you feel like the relationships have been honored and maintained?
No, I don't. It's child support for one thing. The money that could have come for Carly has gone towards maybe more feminization.
You announced this to your oldest daughter showing up at work. In the tape piece, she said you showed up at work to reveal this to her in black lace and blue jeans.
It wasn't a surprise visit. She knew that this was beginning to take place, and I just wanted to come by and see her. And, you know, it didn't go well, so I left.
Well, was that a good idea?
I don't know that it was.
I mean, that's what I'm trying to get to, because you have to look at the impact on others and not just your own personal priorities and agendas along the way.
This is something very hard to go through mentally and emotionally, and I admit that, you know, a lot of things I've done has probably been the wrong things. You know, not being a professional such as yourself, I have no idea really how to handle it. You know, I'm not trying to cop out. I just really didn't know how to handle it any better than I have. I just let them watch things gradually change about me, because they were changing really before I ever took any hormones. They were beginning to change on their own.
Okay, next, we'll find out from 21-year-old Christina why it feels like her dad has been killed when we come back.
I am very embarrassed to know that he carries my last name and that his blood is running through my veins. My father, in my mind, was murdered by Michaela.
Well, right now we are looking into a very complex and dramatic story because it involves dramatic change about a father who has lost contact with his children. Now, Michael made the decision to transition from a man to a woman, and in so doing, leaving two young daughters angry, lost, and confused. Now, these girls say they have no relationship with their father because he says, Dad's gone. You can't have a relationship with Dad because he's gone, and now it's Michaela. Take a look.
It's been a very traumatizing year for me.
My dad was my very best friend. I was like a daddy's girl.
I am very embarrassed to know that he carries my last name and that his blood is running through my veins.
His transformation tore me up inside.
Up until the point of my transformation, my youngest daughter Carly and I had a very good relationship, and now she just won't speak to me.
I think Michael was Carly's hero. The first time Carly saw her dad as a woman, she felt uneasy. I know she was hurt. I'm sure that she was thinking, I've lost my daddy forever.
I do miss having a relationship with my daughter Christina.
As Christina's mom, I feel anger. This change has really devastated her.
I will never accept my father as a woman.
Christina went through shock, denial, grief, sadness, anger. She cannot accept him the way he is now.
My father, in my mind, was murdered by Michaela.
When people ask me how my dad died, I tell them he didn't physically die, he just transformed.
I told Michael that Carly wants to talk to her daddy, and he said, well, that's not ever gonna happen.
When he says that, I think of him as a jerk.
I was very mad. I told my father that selfish people tell their children to call them mother to explore another gender.
I feel angry because he should be there for them.
My dad did tell me that we were being selfish because we would not accept him the way he is. He was the one that was being selfish by not thinking of his children first.
Carly has broken down a few times.
I just remember all the times we had, and I'm so mad that he took those away. He had no right to do this to us. I can never forgive him.
We just heard Christina say that she feels like Michaela murdered her dad. She hasn't seen her dad since he's made a lot of changes. The last time she did, he looked like this. You know, the hair's starting to grow out at that point, but you had not done a lot of the hormonal therapies and things of that nature. Okay, Christina, will you come out? Join us, please. Look,
Hi.
Sit right here. You have not been together for how long? In the same space, together for how long?
A little over a year.
Would you recognize this person on the street?
No.
What's your reaction as you sit here now?
It's just nasty. It's just gross.
Is it because of what you see, or is it because of what has happened or not happened? What is it that is gross to you?
The fact that this is my father. This was my best friend.
Is there anything that you want to say?
Are you happy?
Not totally. I'm happier.
You're happier now than you were with me?
That's not what it was about, Christy.
You said
It's
you were
like
happier.
I'm happier as a person. I'm certainly not happier about the distance between you and I. I never wanted that.
But that wasn't her question. Her question was, you're happier now in this state, in embracing this gender identification, than you were as a man, as a father, as a family man, a best friend in her life.
The only thing that I'm happier about is my own true identity. I certainly miss, the relationship that we had. I would love to have that back. This is just not something that I woke up one day and decided, hey, I think this would be fun to live on the other side. It's a lot more complicated than that. Certainly, I want you back in my life. There's no question about it.
You know how to get me back in your life. You don't.
I wish it was that easy.
It is that easy.
What would it take to get you back?
You gotta be my dad. You can't be this. This is not my dad. My dad is a man. My dad is a role model. My dad is there for his children. My dad is fun and fun-loving and my best friend.
You have burned bridges, have you not? Have you not said, you'll never speak to your dad again? That's over, that's gone, that's done. I'm not that person anymore. You may be different to you, but you are her father. And you have just said, because I want to change, then I put up a stop sign, that's over, it's done, your father's dead, gone, it's not going to happen anymore. I mean, that seems to me to be incredibly self-absorbed, incredibly one-sided, and incredibly insensitive. Do you know why I'm saying that? I mean, look at the pain in your daughter's eyes.
Okay. First off, I never wanted any of the relationship at all to change. That's not at all what I meant.
You told me to call you Mom.
No, I told you
That's
not.
completely changing the relationship.
I told you not to call me Dad out in public because obviously, who would understand that,
Me?
Okay. There you
Damn
go.
good answer. This can get better if you'll just, you need to hear this. There is another little girl hurting in all of this. One of the things you said was you waited until they were grown up. They were, in your words, quote, adults. She was 12. We're going to meet her when we come back.
Every little girl dreams of her wedding day. I always imagine my dad to walk me down the aisle. My dad has died. He cannot walk me down the aisle.
I always imagined that it would be my father to walk me down the aisle when I got married. I do need a father figure in my life.
I still miss him as a father. What makes me cry about it is knowing that I'll never have my dad back.
If I had a chance to be a parent to my children now, I would be a very nurturing, loving parent. As a dad, I was fairly detached. The old me would have beat up a sofa and maybe knocked holes in walls. The maternal female, Kayla, is a crybaby, not having a relationship with children. That certainly put me in tears several times. I think I do feel deeper for the children now than at any other time.
Michael has been living his life as a woman for more than 2 years now. He is asked to be addressed as Kayla today. His 13-year-old daughter, Carly, is understandably very, very confused about what is going on. In fact, her older sister, Christina, wrote in because she was so concerned about how her sister, Carly, was going to handle her father's new identity. And I'm glad you did write in, and I think it's a good thing to have this dialogue. Let's bring out Carly and have her join us. Hey, girl. How are you? Now, you said that when you came out here, you didn't know if you could even look at the person that was your father and a man. Can you look at this person? Tell me what's in your mind about that right now.
I can't even see my father.
How do you feel about what's gone on here? I mean, this has got to be terribly confusing to you.
It is. Like, I don't even have a dad now. I'm furious. I have, like, mixed emotions. Like, furious, and I'm, like, upset and confused. Like, he's, like, ruined my life because I don't have a father.
You're afraid she's bottling this up and it's gonna blow.
Yeah, very much. She does not need to just keep this inside. It's not healthy.
You're doing the same thing, aren't you?
I talk to people about it, not Carly, because I have to be strong for Carly. I have to be her big sister. I can't be a victim. She's the victim. I can't be a victim to her.
They describe themselves as being victimized by what you are doing. How do you feel about that?
I feel like they are victimized to a degree, but they're not the only victim. They're really not.
Who else is a victim?
I'm a victim.
How are you a victim?
You think this is easy going through this?
You think it's easy seeing you like this?
I'm sure it's not. I mean, I understand what you girls are saying, but this is not a choice for me.
I don't think you quite do.
Well, I understand what you think.
Give it a voice. Make it understood. I mean, say what it is that your father doesn't get.
If you truly thought or believed that we were the victims, you would take us out of that situation because you're causing us to be victims. We are victims because of you.
Okay. How would you have me take you out of it?
Be our father. How else?
Okay, when you say be your father, you're talking about turn back physically into the person that you knew before.
Are you not physically the person that I knew before?
I doubt it.
You have blonde hair and you're wearing makeup and women's
Okay,
clothing,
you want me to go back to living as a man to make you feel better?
Yep.
That's not going to happen. It can't happen.
Why?
Because it's not in here mentally.
So you are...
You think I didn't just wake up one day and say, I think I want to see what women live like. That's not what happened.
That's what you're
Not
doing.
at all what happened.
You are not a woman. You have man parts. You were born a man. You have children. You know, you...
Do I? Okay.
That's a good point. You know what?
Right.
Do you really have any children?
Well, what did you mean when you said, do I?
They don't want any part of me. So that's what I mean by it.
You haven't tried to contact me in over a year.
Neither have you.
Why would I want to contact you?
Exactly.
I'm your child. I am your daughter. I'm your eldest daughter.
It's my responsibility to always contact you.
You're my father.
Is that right?
You're supposed to be the role model here.
I'm not a psychologist, but it's a two-way street.
Why would I contact someone who...
Yeah, but you put up a huge detour sign on that street. You really did. And so it's harder for them to know how to approach you. It's harder for them to know how to come at you. It's harder for them to know, I mean, how do you have to understand this is very difficult for them to relate to. What you want them to understand is that this isn't a choice for you.
Right. That's what I
That
want
you
them to
have
understand.
denied, your position is that you have been denying who you were anatomically born to be from a very early age, and that you tried mightily to do that, correct?
I tried my best to live the societal rules of who I should be because of my physicality. I just got to a point where I couldn't do it anymore.
Okay, but even if people think what you're doing is wrong or right or whatever, all of the labels that people can put on things that they don't understand,
Right.
forget whether it's the right or wrong thing to do. There is a right and wrong way to do it, okay? And that's what I'm talking about. Because you haven't heard, and I suspect nor have you felt, one iota of judgment from me about this situation with you individually, correct?
Correct.
Is there a right way to do this, even if you think it's the wrong thing to do? We're going to talk about that when we come back, and we're going to hear more from this precious child. We'll be right back. looking into a very complex and dramatic story about a father who has made a transition from a man to a woman, a transgender, leaving two young daughters angry, lost, and confused. Now, Carly's mother, Jennifer, says that Michael used to be good about paying child support, but now she says that she's lucky to get anything at all.
Carly was 5 years old when he started paying child support.
I do currently pay Jim for child support. I am lacking right now because of a lot of financial issues that have hit me recently.
Michael is approximately $1,400 behind on his child support. My child support payments did decrease when Michael started going through the transformation.
He will not pay child support so he can have his hormones and his breast augmentation. He's so selfish.
When I see Michael, he has his nails done. He has his hair colored and cut, usually looking really good. I wonder how he pays for that and can't pay me.
He is definitely sacrificing his responsibility to Carly to have what he wants.
As soon as I can find some way of affording it, I definitely am going to undergo the surgical change to female. It's very expensive. It may cost anywhere from $25,000 to up to $50,000.
It infuriates me that all of his money seems to be going to his appearance instead of my child support.
Okay, respond to that.
I owe the money. There's nothing I can really respond to. I've lost, I run a business that's went downhill. I've lost contracts. The money that I once had is just not there now. I don't go out and have my nails done every single day of my life. I don't have my hair done every day, you know.
Well, I don't think anybody's saying you're getting it done every day. I think the point is...
It's portrayed that, you know, I just live this lavish...
You're done right now. Your roots are done and your nails are done. Right now. You cannot deny that.
I did.
I'm sure you have a pedicure.
I'm sure you're wrong.
Yeah.
I want to introduce Dr. Frank Lawless. Dr. Lawless is chairman of our advisory committee here at the Dr. Phil Show. You have, in fact, been involved in the evaluation and transition of many transgender cases, correct?
That's correct.
If it's done responsibly, there's always a complete evaluation and diagnostics done to determine whether or not the person is ready for it.
That's correct, because what's going to happen is that, as we've seen here, relationships are going to change, jobs are going to change, the whole world is going to change for these people. And if they don't know how to do it, then they're going to basically be suffering, and everybody around them is going to be suffering.
And do you think that's what's going on now? Do you think you're suffering and they're suffering?
Certainly.
You seem very defensive to the point of being accusatory about virtually everything that's being said. And I'm trying to keep this really balanced here, but you say, well, that depicts me wrong. Well, that's not right. Well, that's not the whole story. This is all about them, so let them say whatever they want to say. If there's something that we're missing, enlighten us, because I think they want to know. If there's something they misunderstand, or something I misunderstand, then tell me what it is. Because my view is you're doing this wrong.
He doesn't even care. Like, he doesn't care.
You think he doesn't care? Or what? What would he do if he did?
Maybe pay his child support. He'd have a look on his face that made him look like he cared. That's pretty blank to me.
Because see, you can, it's kind of like there's the elephant in the living room here, where it's, all right, we're talking about a transgender situation, dramatic, sensational, but take that out of it. Whether you went and got married to somebody else, whether you had an affair, whether you just left and went to live somewhere else, do another job or whatever, historically you have responsibilities. You have commitments. That there are things that you knowingly, voluntarily chose in your life. You say you didn't choose this, but you chose to be a father. You chose to take on these responsibilities. And while you may change gender, and you call them selfish, you call them selfish. I don't get that. I don't get that.
Okay. I can't make them understand.
You can try.
Can you make anyone
I
understand?
can't talk to them to make them even try to understand. They want nothing to do with me. Do you understand that?
I want my dad. I don't want some chick that wants to be my friend or my aunt.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you get very defensive and off-put by that, but the point is, this isn't all about you. This isn't all about you. What you can say is, look, I'm sorry, I can't give you that, but you could help her with it. But instead, you're just like, okay, fine, whatever. If she's hurting, you should be healing. If she's confused, you should be clarifying. If she's in need, you should be providing. Because you're her father. Now, you can say you don't like that adjective, but you are a responsible adult in her life that is responsible for her being in this world. Call it mother, father, somewhere in between. The responsibility is very clear. Well, you know, we're going to take a break. Christina wrote something that I think is very poignant that I think you need to hear when we come back.
Me and my dad always watch the movie White Chicks together. My dad told me, Carly, the reason we watch White Chicks so much is so that I can slowly tell you about my transformation. When my dad told me that, I was in complete and utter shock. I didn't know what to think.
The only real sense I can make of it is that all his life he's never really belonged. He was in the military and he had to get out. He was a cop and he had to get out. He didn't belong in a marriage. I guess he doesn't belong as a dad. He only belongs as a woman.
Christina wrote a poem about her father to express her emotions about this transformation. He's never seen it. Would you share that with us at this point?
It's so hard now to think of you, to remember all we used to do, all the jokes and fun we had, your encouragement when I was sad. I miss the look on your face when I'd arrive at your place. I miss you more than you'll ever know. It's sad, I know. You'll never know. You'll never know how much I cry. Or all the tears I hold inside. I missed you through my surgery. That just added to my misery. You don't call her right by your choice. You don't want to hear my voice. When I found out you lied to me, said time would make it easy. You won't be there on my wedding day because you'd rather live your way. Oh, Lord. I'll have to fake that nervous smile when a stranger walks me down the aisle. I'm too weak to be strong. I can't believe I've gone this long. One day my kids will question me about what happened to my daddy. They'll be in my husband's lap. I'll tell them not to think of that. Just be thankful they have one who cares and who is every day always theirs. We will always have our family, and they will always have their daddy.
Thoughts, reactions?
It's an emotional poem. I mean, you're right, I've never heard it. I don't know what to say about it.
I am shocked that a parent could hear that child read those words written from her heart, and you sit there stone-faced like you're waiting for a bus.
This is not an easy thing to live through, and it is a big pain to me not having the relationship. I felt like it was gone and we would never have it back. So I've had to try to learn to cope with it.
She said, I will have to fake that nervous smile when a stranger walks me down the aisle.
I heard it.
What does that mean to you?
Well, obviously, traditionally, a father walks a daughter down the aisle, and I'm not physically the father, so...
You're not mentally a father.
I'm not physically a father,
You're
and that's
not
the
mentally
biggest
a
thing
father.
to you.
There's nothing about you that's a father.
Well, you're welcome to your opinion. I didn't want a separation from you
I
guys.
believe a lot of other people have the same opinion.
Okay.
I know she does.
Well, can Christina and Tarly's relationship with their dad be salvaged? And does he really even want that? Because I hear a lot of sniping going on and zero compassion or understanding. Maybe I'm missing it. We'll be right back.
I own a security agency now. I go out and patrol neighborhoods looking to deter any sort of criminal activity, vandalism, things of that nature. When I was a male officer, I was intimidating and had to fight. Now when I'm in uniform, guys would find it disrespectful to try to beat up on me, so it's an entirely different ballgame. I don't have to really get physical because they don't take it to that level.
Well, I'm talking to a family who, according to 13-year-old Carly, has been torn apart. Do you understand the pain that they're experiencing? You don't show any compassion for it. You show defensive about it. You're upset. You seem upset with them because they're upset with you, rather than saying, huge change. Your dad becomes a woman. Pass the syrup. That, I mean... You know, you seem to not. But when we say that, when we talk about their pain, you get defensive about it. You haven't written to them. You haven't called them. You haven't reached out to them. You said, two-way street. They didn't reach out to me. They didn't make this change. You did. So the burden becomes yours. Plus, you're the adult. You're talking to a 13-year-old child here. You said this is overwhelming for you? Try it at 12. I mean, what can you offer? What can you offer them?
Like I say, I would like to reopen the channels of communication with them and start talking with them and spending time with them and try to understand things together. I just don't know that's what they want.
But you'll never get there getting angry and defensive every time they're critical. And let me tell you, their criticisms, in my opinion, are legitimate. They're very legitimate. And I say that not because of this transitioning that you're doing, but because of the fact that you have dropped the ball relationship-wise. You've become very self-absorbed on this one thing that's going to happen. And when you finish that transformation, you know what's going to happen? You're going to lift your head up and look around and see that everybody in your life, everything that you've loved, is gone. Actually, not because of what you did, but because of the way you've done it.
The only ones that are gone are my kids.
I don't think you don't know how. I really and truly, with all my heart, think that you don't want to.
I want to.
I don't think you do.
You're wrong.
If you wanted to, I would have heard from you over the past year and a half.
What you're saying to me, I'm telling you right now, I love you girls to pieces, and I want relationships with you. Well,
everyone who loves me talks to me, comes and sees me.
We're talking now. We're talking right now.
Okay, they might have rebuffed you, but these girls walked out. You haven't seen them in 2 years. You're like, it could have been 2 audience members that came up here and sat down for all of your expression, emotion, initiation, anything. Even if you thought it was not welcome and would be rebuffed, they'd have to tell me no. Do you not ache to hug this child?
I just don't feel like they would welcome it. I'm just trying to be as respectful as I can of the girls. Certainly, I would love to hug both of them.
I've seen no emotion in your voice, in your face, in your demeanor. If you don't know, there are tremendous resources to support you in this, and we will guide you in that direction. But I can tell you, you are not navigating this terrain in a constructive way, in my view. And I am sorry for that. We'll be right back. I want to thank all my guests today. I mean, y'all that watch the show know how important I believe family is. And I think no matter what happens in your life, your role as parent never changes. You always have those responsibilities. Go to drphil.com. I want to have a lot there about family, a lot about being a parent. See you next time. Thank you.
All new Dr. Phil today. Do you really know the nanny who's watching your children?
She was an all-American girl, 23 years old. Moms trusted her, and their kids adored her.
The most wonderful babysitter ever.
But once the parents were gone,
God, I just don't care!
her dark side took over.
That will trick you, you know.
Now, Dr. Phil confronts her about what she did on the job.
Be very, very careful. You don't know what I know. You jack with me and you'll be gone before you know it.
And
That's a shot, a little more.
is her mother making it all worse?
You're doing illegal drugs with her.
Wasn't my choice.
Somebody grabbed the back of your head, shoved it down on the table and said, snort this coke with your daughter?
The sitter's secret.
I can't take it anymore.
I don't put up with any of that bullshit. Coming up. Let's do it. I want you to get excited about your life.
Here we go, in 10.
Stand by, camera 6.
If it's happening now, we're going to deal with it now.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Stand by A, and roll A, track it. Go, Dr. Phil.
You are going to hear a story today that is going to change the way you think about your life. It's going to change the way you think about the people around you in your life. This is a story about the most sought-after nanny in a neighborhood. She was an all-American girl, 23 years old, as cute as can be. Moms trusted her, and their kids adored her. But while the kids were sleeping, her secret life took over.
Why don't you go upstairs for a little bit, and then I'll come get you, I promise. 5 minutes.
I'm this girl with high hopes and dreams. If you see me, you would never know I was a drug user, but I'm a junkie.
I'm pissed. I don't want to be here. I hate drugs. I hate people who give me drugs.
I shot up yesterday at my grandmother's.
Double dudes, it's so right now.
I am living a life that I'm not supposed to be living. It's wrong. I'm not like this. I'm not like this.
Before I was a nanny working with the children, and I was so happy. Those are good times.
She's just caring and loving, and the kids flock to her. They're like the Pied Piper.
She is an amazing person. My kids love her.
I want to say, Stephanie, you're the most wonderful babysitter ever.
Devin is my boyfriend. I hooked up with him about 2 years ago. Devin introduced me into a bigger drug world.
I'm getting ready to shoot. I don't know what I'm getting ready to shoot.
Get
the vein number. I'm gonna go on my chest. Ow.
Do you think you just shot coke or dope?
I decided to stop babysitting because my addiction was really starting to grab a hold of me. I have been high babysitting, but I would always make sure the kids were sleeping. I can't even begin to tell you how much I miss babysitting. And it's one of the best times of my life.
Well, one time she invited her crazy boyfriend over.
I have to kind of draw the line somewhere. Like, I can't have her live with me because of my kids. And I can't have, you know, her boyfriend coming over here. So I have to kind of be careful.
Of course, we don't let her babysit anymore, and she knows that. She understands. We've talked to her about that.
Heroin has turned me into a liar. I've lied to friends and family. I have stolen money.
When you want drugs, you don't think, oh, I'm stealing, oh, you know? I just was like, oh, okay, she doesn't notice. Your brain, the devil tricks you, you know? Hurting everybody, disappointing everybody, time and again. But I can't stop. I can't stop.
This is my little crack house.
God, I just want to go home. I just want to go home. I don't need to hear any details. I don't care. Get me the out of here.
What sucks, and what's really depressing is the fact that at one time in my life, I was somebody. I was somebody good. I'm just a hopeless junkie these days.
Dr. Phil, please help me. Please help me. First time of my life, I was scared. It was all fun and games at first. But I'm scared. I'm real scared.
Well, my past guest, Joni, former addict herself, is here today. She spent weeks documenting Stephanie with her camera and then sent it to us. Rebecca and another mom, also named Stephanie, hired our guest Stephanie to watch their children. She is the mom who called Joni looking to see if she could help in some way. What's your reaction to watching yourself on tape?
It's unreal. Sometimes I can't even believe that I'm like, that's me. Like, you know, it's sad.
Why did you agree to come here? What did you mean, if you even remember, saying at the end of the tape, Dr. Phil, help me?
Because I really want help. I need help badly. That person you saw in the videos, I'm ashamed of that person. That's not who I am. I'm better than that. I have this disease, and I know I've come to terms with it, and I want to fight it. I want that devil in me to be gone.
So, moms, you're hearing some things here that y'all didn't know before, right?
Partially.
Did you wonder if maybe this been going on while she was watching your children?
Not at the time, but now we wonder.
That's what I mean now, as you look back.
Yeah, not at the time, but now, yeah, that was...
She definitely never seemed like she was using when she was watching the kids. Now, when she went to bed and my husband and I would come home, maybe I didn't take too much notice of her personality, or I didn't want to.
Yeah, back when I was babysitting, when I was using pills, not necessarily when I was with the kids. There have been times when the kids have gone to bed and I took a couple pills.
So what have you done today? Be very, very careful. I ask you a question, you better tell me the truth.
Oh, I'm gonna
You
tell
don't
the
know
truth.
what I know.
I'm a very honest person.
You don't know what I know. And at some point, you're just going to have to understand that you're just going to have to be honest with me, because the way to tell when you're lying is if your lips are moving, right? You'll lie about anything, anywhere. I mean, that's part of this addiction. This is a time, if you want a chance to try and live, try and get your life back, you need to tell the truth about everything I ask you. Absolutely. And believe me, I am a human lie detector, and you jack with me and you'll be gone before you know it. I don't put up with any of that bull. And you just need to know that from me right up front, okay?
Okay.
So you need to think about that when I ask you the question. What have you done today?
Today I shot Suboxone and came here.
Where'd you get the needle?
Pharmacy. You just go there and say, hey, I need a 10-pack, 1 cc insulin syringe, please, and they'll give you a pack.
Okay, so where'd you go to a pharmacy? You left your hotel this morning early?
I packed it in my bag.
Okay, so you brought it here.
I did.
You came to see me about your drug addiction, and you brought drug paraphernalia with you so you could shoot up before the show.
Well, I did, or else I would have been sick.
Yeah, and Suboxone is an opiate, and it's often used to get off of heroin, but you can get high on it. It's not as good, but you can get high on it.
Someone with a tolerance like me, I do not get high off Suboxone, but say if you were to do Suboxone, it would knock you on your butt.
Yeah. Because your life's been unraveling in the last year, true?
Yeah.
How many times have you been to jail last year?
About 4 or 5.
4 or 5 times in the last year? Yeah, because you shoot up. I noticed, why were you're actually shooting up in your breast now.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
You stab yourself in your veins so many times and you blow that vein out. It just goes flat and you can't use it for a while. Yeah.
Where do you usually shoot up?
Right there, along here, all right here. Yeah, I got some pretty bad scars.
Yeah. You say you're addicted to the needle itself. You say you love watching a needle go in your arm, the blood squirt up, it's a rush.
Yeah, it does become a thrill. It's like, I don't know, every junkie, I hate that word junkie, but yeah, we like sticking needles in our arms.
Why do you hate that word?
Because it's disgusting, it's degrading, it's not something I want to be.
All right, next, we're going to find out what's going on with Stephanie's mom, Kim. Does she have anything to do with this drug problem? We'll find out when we come back.
My daughter has been making bad choices since the age of 12. I don't blame myself for Stephanie's choices.
It's Saturday night. That's not a shot. That's a shot. A little more. A little more.
I tried to get her to stop using, but when does a child ever listen to their parent?
Today we're talking to 23-year-old Stephanie. She says she had everything going for her. She was a great nanny, babysitting, aspiring singer, had plenty of friends. But all of that went down the drain 2 years ago when she was introduced to crack and heroin. Now, her mom, Kim, says that she's tried everything to save her daughter's life, even keeping her locked up in her home.
My life as a mother to Stephanie, my drug addict daughter, has been very emotional and scary. I'm well medicated to cope with this. I need a drink. Anyone like a drink? My daughter has been making bad choices since the age of 12. Stephanie started drinking NyQuil at 12, and then she started smoking pot, and then it led to cocaine, and I don't know if she did the crack first or the heroin first. Stephanie came to me one evening and said, Mom, I have a date with my friend to do heroin. And I said, Stephanie, please don't do it. All I've heard is nothing but bad things. And then she did come to me and say, Mom, I did try it, but I didn't like it. And I was like, phew, thank God. Then she came to me like 2 days later and said, Mom, I love it. I did it again. And I'm like, oh my God, Stephanie. And I tried to get her to stop using, but there's really nothing I could do. Why does your hand look swollen right there?
Because I shot drugs and missed.
Excuse me, I don't know anything about this. Stephanie did not listen at all to me. But when does a child ever listen to their parent? Stephanie, all to get her drugs, has stolen from stores, been arrested. She danced at strip clubs and stole money from my mom.
She took $20 out of Heather's pocketbook the other day.
Stephanie! Stephanie is living back home with me right now. I tried to hold Stephanie captive so she won't get drugs, but she gets mad at me anyway and leaves. Poor Stephanie's been through hell. When Stephanie was 12, a family member molested her repeatedly while I was working nights. When Stephanie told me about it, dummy me, I didn't believe her. I believe her now. I've been married 4 times. I pick I have 4 children. I'm married to a younger man. Robbie is 26. Stephanie knew Robbie before I did.
Even though I knew her first before mother.
All right, Robbie, we don't need to go there. Robbie, don't go there.
Okay.
Okay. They were just friends. I don't blame myself for Stephanie's choices. I've always been there for Stephanie. My greatest fear is getting that phone call in the middle of the night that Stephanie's dead. If my daughter doesn't get help, she will probably die.
Do you believe that?
I do believe that.
Do you believe that her life is at risk right now?
Yes, I do.
Because as she sits here, you know, as you look at her, she's just cute as she can be, and she's all fixed up, and you could put her in the audience, and people wouldn't pick her out in a million years as a heroin addict.
I believe she will die without help.
You're doing everything you can to help her. You've even locked her in your house, right?
Yes, I've locked her in my house.
Are you part of the problem? Or is this something that you're trying to control instead of throw gas on?
I don't think I'm part of her problem. I'm here for her now to try and help her.
So you're not part of the problem, and you're here for her now. Now, you know, just a week ago, she bought $120 worth of crack and shot up $50 worth of heroin just a week ago. The next day, she smoked crack all night, did $30 worth of heroin. You know that just within the last week.
I know that.
True? Joni, true? You've documented all of this, right?
Yes.
We have video documentation of it. You know that she's been to jail 4 times in the last year.
I've gotten her out before. Big mistake. Should have left her in there.
You said something that I thought was really interesting. You said, as evidence of how open the relationship was, that she came to you 2 days before she was going to go out and do heroin.
She did, and I begged her not to. Didn't I beg you? I begged her not to.
That was 2 years ago?
Yes.
Okay, and you were how old?
21.
Uh-huh. And you did what? What'd you say to her? What'd you do?
I just told her, please don't try it, because I know it's a very addictive drug, and once you start, you can't come off of it.
Yeah.
So I've been told.
Do you have a problem with drugs? Do you have a problem with alcohol?
No.
No problem with drugs or alcohol?
No.
Did you bring drugs with you on this trip?
Prescription drugs.
Uh-huh. Did you take drugs this morning?
I took a Xanax, sorry. I was very nervous.
You took a Xanax this morning. Did you give her any?
No.
Okay. Did she drink yesterday?
No. Yes. I'm sorry. Yes, she did. Oh,
well,
yeah.
it was in the morning, so I know it's a long time ago.
Yes.
She drank yesterday morning.
She did yesterday morning. She got very drunk before our airplane ride. Yes,
okay.
she did.
Okay. Did you drink with her?
I had a Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary's a morning drink, though. No, honestly, isn't it?
In your purse, you have morphine, Percocet, Ambien, and Xanax. You're carrying that with you because...
Wait a minute, what is it? Morphine, Ambien...
Morphine, Percocet, Ambien, and Xanax all in one bottle.
You have morphine?
Yes. You're not getting it. I just had back surgery.
Well, you ought to be
I don't take them all
pain-free.
at once.
What?
I don't take them all at once.
So you're taking, you've had back surgery, so you're having to take morphine, Percocet. You've also got Ambien and Xanax, so you're taking those because they're prescribed.
When I need them.
Did you read anything on the bottle about not drinking, even though Bloody Mary is a morning drink, about not drinking on top of those drugs? Well, I'm going to get that answer from Kim when we come back. Well, Well, Joni says Kim is a very bad influence on her daughter, Stephanie. So I just wanted to look at some of the video evidence. Let's take a look.
Mom, no, they're right here filming me right now. I don't know, Mom. You stayed out getting drunk and didn't come home. We're just worried.
I don't have to be until 1:30.
Well, I thought you said you were going to be here for me.
I'm going to be there.
Growing up, I always saw my mother drunk.
I like the Bloody Mary.
There has been addiction in my family. I haven't had any struggles with drugs or alcohol.
It's Saturday night. That's not a shot. That's a shot. A little more. A little more. I'm not happy with this.
That's it. Are you worried about her drinking vodka?
Yes, I am. Yes.
I'd rather see her drink vodka than do anything else.
Okay, but go get your own bottle.
I always worry about my mom because I don't want to see her screw up. Like, she, at one point, was at a real low point in her life. I'm just afraid of her reverting back to that.
Here to get Stephanie getting help, Dr. Phil.
Yes.
Wow.
And he's gonna be like, oh my God. All right, y'all need help too.
We're not alcoholics.
We're not alcoholics.
We're not.
Are you kidding me? You said that you're here to help her. And I just got to get all of this out on the table. I mean, Kim, are you kidding me? You want to see that again?
No.
Do I need to play that again?
No.
You're telling me yesterday morning you took a Percocet and 3 shots of vodka, and you say, I don't have a drinking or a drug problem, and then you've got a daughter whose life is hanging in the balance. She's smoking crack, she's shooting up heroin, she's taking Suboxone, and you're pouring her drinks at a party? Talk to me. Say something.
I'm wrong. I'm sorry, Stephanie. I shouldn't have given you drinks. But I took the bottle and hit it after that shot, didn't I? Yes. Didn't I, Joni?
Are you seriously going to try and defend that behavior?
No.
That's what we saw with a camera standing there. Have you ever done drugs with her?
No. Have we? No.
Am I supposed to pretend I believe that? I'm sorry. Was it my move next? I'm sorry. Was I supposed to pretend that I believe that?
Well, what are you
I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. For God's sakes, ladies, come on. This is it. This is the precipice. You are at the threshold. Are you going to sit here and lie to me? Are you going to tell me you've never done drugs with your daughter? I got a polygraph operator 3 minutes from here. I'll pull him in if you need him.
What have we done? We have snorted one one line together. Is that what he's referring to? Because that's all we've ever done. Huh?
Yes, we snorted coke once together.
With your daughter?
Yes.
When was this?
Years ago.
This was before I really bad on drugs.
Okay, so you started heroin when you were 21, so it was before that, right? How old were you?
I was like 20.
Yeah. So you're doing illegal drugs with her?
Wasn't my choice, but I did it.
I'm sorry, somebody grabbed the back of your head and shoved it down on the table and said, snort this coke with your daughter?
No.
Did they have a gun to your head?
No.
Because if they'd have had a gun to my head, they'd have just had to pull the damn trigger, lady, before I would do drugs with my child. Are you kidding me? What, am I missing something here? I know you're in a drug haze with a totally toxic brain, but even you ought to figure out this isn't correct.
I know it's wrong.
Do you?
Yes.
She's drugged out and knows it's wrong, and you're sitting there going, well, just one time. It wasn't my choice. Whose choice was it? Just for the record, just for entertainment purposes, I just want to know.
I guess it was our choice.
Well, no, seriously, whose choice was it? You can get defensive and paranoid and hate me later, but right now, just answer the question.
I don't hate you.
Well, it's early. Stephanie says her father wants nothing to do with her, but he did want me to relay a message from him. You're going to hear what he has to say when we come back.
17 when I got pregnant with Stephanie. Her dad gave me a choice of either having her or having him, and of course I chose my baby. When Stephanie was little, her and her dad really got along really good, and then as she got older, he started telling her that she was a piece of
When I was 12, I moved in with my dad and started acting out in school and acting promiscuous. I got caught writing dirty letters to boys, and at that time, my dad really started verbally abusing me. I was all of a sudden nothing to him. I was a whore just like my mother, a 12-year-old whore. I ruined his life. I'm nothing but the biggest mistake of his life.
I think a lot of Stephanie's problems stem from her dad, and once someone's told it all their life, that's what they think of themselves.
My dad blocked my number. How lovely is that? Let me give my sister cell phone.
Dad, it's me. The Dr. Phil show wants to know if you will talk to them about me. I'm assuming that you have my number blocked, that you're probably not interested in my life, as you said before. I know you hate me. Okay, so whatever.
I don't care about my real dad anymore. He's dead to me.
Well, that was Stephanie. She's addicted to crack and heroin. Doesn't look like it, but she is. She partly blames her father, Steve. Her mother, Kim, says Steve verbally abused Stephanie growing up. But Steve says that is absolutely not true. Now, he refused to be part of the show because he says he doesn't want to have any contact with Stephanie until she is clean and sober. He does have things to say to Stephanie. He says that he wants to have a relationship with you. He very much does. He says that he loves you. He says that he is behind you. And he says that he has cut off contact with you because he doesn't know what else to do.
You know, and that's what I don't understand is because growing up, my dad was everything to me. My dad was my hero. And, you know, I learned a lot of good from my dad, you know. But just, as I got older, he was this monster. And one minute he's hot, next minute he's cold. I was constantly walking on eggshells. And, you know, that messed me up big time. That messed me up more than anything else that's ever happened to me. Was that just having someone that you adore and you just love and you look up to, and him just turning around and spitting on you and telling you what a piece of you are, you know? Like, that didn't go over too well in my life. I mean...
That was then. And this is now, and he wants nothing to do with you at this point, and you say that's fine, it's not healthy to be with him.
Right.
But it's not fine. I mean, you don't like that.
I don't, but it has to be. I can't take it anymore. I can't take just one day call my dad, hey, how are you? And everything's fine. And then a week later I call him and he's like, what do you want from me? I'm not interested in your life. I can't take it. I can't take it anymore. I've dealt with it long enough.
Does it seem to you, just looking at her in total objectivity, that she is mentally, emotionally, addictively compromised at this point?
Very much so.
How do you square that with having a drinking party? How do you square that? Does that seem irresponsible to you on reflection?
Very, but I didn't want her to drink, but she was taking the bottle anyway.
Do I need to play the tape again?
No.
I mean, come on, are you that in denial?
I am No, I'm not in denial. It was wrong.
What did you say to her?
I said, Mom, just talk. Just be honest. Just talk from your heart. It's fine.
I am talking. She wanted a drink, and I gave it to her. I know it's wrong.
You are in denial. You're a mother of an addict sitting here, and yesterday you threw 3 shots of vodka on top of a Percocet before you came to the Dr. Phil show to get your daughter help?
I don't mean to defend her. It was a drink, and I'm the addict here. I don't know if,
Yeah, you're the addict, and I'm the doctor. And I'm asking questions of the enabling parent who is sabotaging you right and left, okay? And if you don't see the toxic nature of that, then I'm going to point it out to you. And she's not the only problem. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to hear from Stephanie's boyfriend, Devin. She says that he's the love of her life. but he introduced her to hard drugs. He's going to be calling from jail. Plus, we're going to hear more from Heather, her best friend, as well. Stay right here.
I'm in love.
Stephanie's boyfriend, Devin, is a royal piece of shit. He's shooting her up with heroin and getting Stephanie arrested.
I could see myself spending the rest of my life with him.
Stephanie's boyfriend, Devin, is a royal piece of shit.
Love you.
I love you too.
Talk to you later.
All right. Bye. I'm in love.
As soon as Devin and Stephanie got together, her life has definitely gone downhill. I mean, going downhill.
He's shooting her up with heroin and stealing from stores to buy the and getting Stephanie arrested.
When Devin is not on drugs, he's just the best boyfriend. When Devin is on drugs, it's a nightmare.
Mom, he's got a good heart. He's a good person. He's just...
Anyone that's gonna beat you up is...
Mom, he didn't beat me up. He kicked me. Pulled me down the stairs, threw me in the dirt, stabbed me with a knife. No.
What?
No, I'm just kidding.
You just want me to have a heart attack today, don't you?
Although he and I are not good for each other, I still love him. I could see myself spending the rest of my life with him. He wants to marry me.
You're seeing the footage you're seeing because a former guest of mine, an addict herself, Joni, decided to try and document some of this to bring the reality to the forefront. Now, just imagine that your cute young nanny, who your kids just adore, is the person you're seeing in that footage. You think she's perfect, and then one day you find out that she's been doing drugs. That's Stephanie's story. She was once the most popular babysitter in her neighborhood, but now she's a heroin and crack addict. Stephanie's family is in agreement about one thing. They all say Devin, her boyfriend, is to blame. Today, Devin is joining us on the phone from jail. He's currently serving time for theft. Devin, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so I've been hearing Stephanie describe the fact that you have been physically abusive with her. Is that true?
Not nearly as physically abusive as she is towards me. We have our fights, and 9 times out of 10, I just take a beating like a man should. And every now and then, just out of instinct, I don't know, I'll accidentally maybe slap her real fast. I've never hurt Stephanie. She's never hurt me. And all of our fights always end up with a hug. I mean...
Did you accidentally push her down in the mud and kick her?
I didn't kick her, but yeah, I pushed her down in the mud.
Have you stabbed her?
No, I didn't stab her. I kind of poked her.
With what?
I poked her. I mean, just a very little prick with a knife. For very good reason, though.
Okay, explain that to me. I'm not clear on what the stabbing conditions are.
We were doing very well. We probably each had over a month's sobriety, and I was at work, and I came home, and Stephanie was at the house, and I noticed that she had relapsed on drugs, and she wouldn't tell me, and she kept lying to me. And I guess, I don't know, I was so mad about her relapsing and lying about it that I poked her in the leg with a knife.
Heather, what do you think? Do you think he's a good influence in her life?
Not at all a good influence at all.
Are you worried about him hurting her?
Yes. I'm worried about actually any negative people in her life.
And you think he's on that list?
On the top.
At the top of the list?
Yeah.
Do you want him in your life, Stephanie?
I do.
Why?
I love him. I know he's a great person at heart.
He's hit you, pushed you down, kicked you, stabbed you, and taken you to a drugstore to shoplift, and you got caught, all in the name of drugs. Do you think that maybe that's not a good association?
No, but no.
Stephanie says she wants out of this drug-crazy life. Is it too late for her? Is she going to go home to a toxic environment when she gets out? Who knows if she ever gets out of this lifestyle? We'll be right back.
friend Heather is the best. She's my soulmate of friends, really. Good friend, I won't hold it down. Feeling like you want it, oh, that's cute.
I always cry when I love Stephanie. We're great together.
Why don't you straighten up your stuff?
When Stephanie's on drugs, she's not herself.
I give you my word, I'm not gonna ask you for another $20.
Well, how are you gonna get another $20? And I'm trying not to drop out of her life. And it's just, she just keeps disappointing. And she's like, I'm gonna be clean. And then she acts like she's clean and she's not.
My friend Heather has been very loyal to me. I never meant to hurt her so much.
I feel very helpless because I am. Really, I mean, I can be there for her and listen to her and talk to her, but I can't help her. She has to help herself.
Well, Stephanie says if she doesn't get help soon, that she won't live to see the next 5 years. Do you believe that?
Oh, absolutely. When I'm using, I want to die. Every time I stick that needle in my arm, I'm hoping it's the last time. It's gotten that bad.
Because it can get worse.
Oh, I'm sure. I know, I'm sure.
I want to introduce you to somebody special, another former guest of mine named Sarah. You may remember her. She was addicted to crack and heroin. She was living on the streets just a year ago. Sarah, you've seen it before, haven't you?
Yeah.
You and Tekoa have seen this before.
I just really think that you should go to treatment and just do the things they tell you to do there. And you have to make a whole life change. You have to change everything.
How bad did it get for you and your sister? You guys were actually selling yourselves on the street.
Yeah, it got really bad. It got to where I definitely wanted to die. But it is so different right now. I have a year sober next month.
I'm scared. For the first time in my life, I am scared. Scared.
Heather,
Safe.
come up here and sit next to her. You can fit.
It's my woman.
Because you know, if you keep up what you're doing, she's gone. Right? I mean, you're not going to let her pull you down, let her ruin your life, your career, your future. I mean, at some point, you'll say, I'm out of here.
Mm-hmm. It's getting kind of close, actually.
Do you think she's got a chance?
I do, with help.
Do you think she's got a chance with you? Because I'm going to tell you, I just met you, but I'm going to tell you, I think you are both an alcoholic and a drug addict. That's just, I mean, Bells, I'm not saying I'm right, and I can't prove it. I see what I see, and I hear what I hear. I think you've got a real substance problem here. I think you've had it for a long time, and I think you got it now. I think you're addicted to prescription drugs, and I think you're drinking to excess. What do you think?
I might say prescription drugs, but I don't really drink that much. I mean, I know on film it looked like it because we were having a oyster shooter party. Those are oyster shooters. Not that it makes a difference, but...
No, it doesn't. Justify, deny, duck, weave, evade, but never step up and own it. That's you. Rich, stand up, if you would, please. This is Rich Whitman. He is from La Hacienda, which is a serious, absolute, cutting-edge, top-drawer drug rehabilitation program. He is here to take you with him. He is here to, you don't pass go, you don't go home, you don't call friends. All you do is get patted down, your luggage gets searched, they go through places you haven't even thought of to hide drugs and paraphernalia, and then he takes you straight there. You may be gone for a long, long time. Rich, what do you think?
There is no going back home for you. Playmates and playgrounds have got to change. That includes Mom, too.
We'll be right back. We've been talking about drug addiction today, and it cuts across all levels of society. Stephanie, you are totally committed to doing what you have to do, right?
Absolutely.
And you're going there from here. You're not going back home. You're going there from here.
Good.
And Kim, you understand, well, maybe you don't, but you should understand that I believe to the core of my soul that you should be in treatment, because I believe to the core of my soul that you are an addict. And the only reason that you're not going to do it is because you don't see it. You think you're fine. You think you'll get through your back surgery. You'll get rid of the morphine, the Percocet, the Xanax.
Oh, I know I can stop.
All that stuff. Well, we'll see. Okay. I hope you're right, and I hope I'm wrong. I'm not, but I hope I am. I truly hope I am. Because she can't come home to a toxic environment with justifications and blah, 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 blah. She can't do that. You owe it to her to get yourself straight.
I will.
If you have a family member, a friend you think needs help, but you don't know how to do it, log on to drphil.com, because I'm going to give you complete instructions on how to get someone you love the help that they need. Now, I really, really hope you will do that. Thanks for being here. Today on an all-new Dr. Phil. Should a man be forced to be a father? You made your choice when you got in bed and had sex.
I did not make a choice at that point.
Now, he feels he's been tricked.
We just say to the men, you need to pay. Stop with the excuses and start supporting your child.
What are your rights as a woman for getting child support?
The child is an innocent victim in all of this, not you.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
Some say it's a hard life, but it's hard for us all. Always hold on. In 10, always be strong. Reach out. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Stand by, camera 6. Go, Dr. Phil.
Thank you very much. All right, getting pregnant before marriage used to be something that you just kept as a secret, or you solved it with a shotgun wedding. Now, legally, what are the responsibilities of a man once there is a baby? And what are your rights as a woman for getting child support? Now, 2 years ago, we did a show about a case being dubbed the Roe versus Wade for men, where a young man, Matt Dubay, felt he was being forced into fatherhood. Now, Matt took his case to court in the state of Michigan.
From the beginning, I had told her very clearly that, at this point in my life, there's no way that I could be a father. She informed me that she had a condition where she could not get pregnant. She also informed me she was on the pill for other medical reasons.
Matt Dubay says despite that, his ex-girlfriend, Lauren Wells, did get pregnant. As a result, he has to pay $500 a month in child support.
Matt's lawyer filed suit in federal court.
Forcing me to be a father financially, mentally, and physically is definitely not something that I feel is fair.
This child does exist with your DNA. Is that difficult for you to look at that child and know that that is your biological child?
If I made the decision to be a father, I would wholeheartedly be a father and I would take great care of the child. but I was a father against my will.
Have you held the child?
No.
Have you haven't touched the child or been around the child, and you have no desire to do so?
I don't believe that's what's best.
I think he's going to be a great father when he chooses to be.
Do you expect to win this case, or are you trying to advance the debate through the lawsuit?
I do expect to win.
Well, since that show, Matt's case was thrown out of court. He fought back, and it was thrown out again. Now, Matt's mother, Diane, says the state made an example of her son and just basically destroyed him. They are fed up with a system that they say gives no rights to a man.
I felt that it was ridiculous to call the lawsuit frivolous. It affects all the rights of all the men of this country. My son's been punished. I think he's been set up as a scapegoat. I think he's been set up to show the men of this country that you better not question the system as it is. I believe they're trying to scare men out there that want to address this rights issue.
So Diane says her son has suffered both financially and emotionally.
Matt has been not only thrown out of court, but he has been hit with sanctions in the amount of thousands of dollars.
This situation's been a burden on me financially.
He sold his car and he refinanced his house. He's probably always going to be in debt.
Before all this happened, I was a very trusting person. Now I am not.
My son has had this affect his business life, his social life, and he's even lost some friends over this. And he has said to me, I don't know if I can ever trust a woman again. I don't think he dated for about 2.5 years.
Moving a relationship forward, making them physical, is much slower now.
My son can be out in a social setting and people come up to him and call him names, call him a deadbeat dad.
They are telling me that I need to be a part of the child's life when I don't feel that's the right thing to do at this point.
People tell him to stand up and be a man. I feel that my son has stood up and he is a man.
Joining us now are Matt and his mother, Diane, as well as Mel Fight, Matt's advocate and director of the National Center for Men. Also joining us is Gloria Allred, president of the Women's Equal Rights Legal Defense and Education Fund. So let's just get right into this. You took this to trial and lost.
Correct. It was actually thrown out. It never went to trial.
It never went. You got thrown out before you even got to be heard.
Exactly.
Okay, but you went back for another bite at the apple.
Correct.
Okay, this time was it heard?
No, it was not.
Okay, thrown out again?
Yes.
Okay. Why do they keep throwing this out?
It was thrown out because I think Matt was going to show tremendous inequality in how child support was collected. The court didn't want to see it. They threw it out, and then they punished him. They made him pay all the legal fees connected with the trial. I think it was a message sent to any man, don't even try it. The judge acted shamefully. He acted more like a thug than a jurist by throwing his case out and then making him pay all the costs.
Okay, you have fathered a child, biologically.
Technically. I have not made the choice
You
to
impregnated
be
a woman.
father. Yes.
Okay, and you say that you didn't mean to.
No, there was discussion. I never made the choice. We had discussions, and I informed her that I was not ready to be a father.
I think if a man and woman together make a choice to have a sexual relationship for the purpose of intimacy and not procreation, as long as that choice is made together as a couple, then the choice belongs to both of them and not just to her. Even in the event of a contraceptive failure, that choice belongs to both of them and not just to her, because sexual choices made as a couple belong to the couple. That's what it means to have consensual sex.
You say that the decision belongs to both of them, but and you say you didn't have a choice in this,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
But you made your choice when you got in bed and had sex. I
No,
mean, you made a choice at that point, right?
I did not make a choice at that point. I explained to her that I was not ready to be a father, and we both agreed that we would not be parents at that point. She informed me.
Your best protection then is to not have sex with this woman.
Yeah, but they said that about women too. They said if you don't want to be a mother, don't have sex. The society has repudiated this argument. The society says to women, you are entitled to have a private, intimate life while at the same time choosing not to be a parent, even in the event of a contraceptive failure. What Matt knows now is what every man should know. When he closes the door of the bedroom and thinks he's alone with his sweetheart, not true. In that bedroom with him, every time he makes love with his woman, there's looking over his shoulder, taking notes, ready to spring into action is the Attorney General of the state where he lives. The only person who had any rights in that bedroom was the woman in his case. He had no choice, no rights.
Gloria, what do you say about this?
Well, Matt, you are a father. That's 100% clear. And there's a beautiful little baby in existence. You need to take full responsibility for that baby, because it's either you, that's important, it's either you or the taxpayer along with the mother. And as between you and the taxpayer, if she has to go on welfare, frankly, I think you're the one who should be supporting your child.
I don't, you know, if a woman's reproductive choice was imperiled, you would be railing against that. And I have a question for you. In the state of New York where I live, the statute says a parent, doesn't say a mother, says a parent can drop a baby off and walk away with no responsibilities whatsoever. Now, suppose someone came to you, a young father, you're an attorney, and said, Ms. Allred, what do you think? Can I take advantage of the statute and drop my baby off and walk away just like a woman can? What advice would you give to that young man?
Well, you know, that's a whole other issue, but I do think that a safe harbor for children who are not wanted by both parents or who think that their child is better off placed with a family who can take care of them.
That's what he thinks.
That's a whole other option.
But
hold on. The point is, this mother is keeping this child, and you have a responsibility for this child. Instead of you're going to court, paying lawyers, having to pay sanctions to the court, which is in a sense a fine. Why don't you use that money to support your child? Why don't you get involved with the life of your child?
He is supporting his child.
Visit that child, because the child is an innocent victim in all of this, not you.
You never say to a woman, you must be a mother. Doesn't matter if you're tricked, doesn't matter how it came about, your rights don't matter. We never say that to a mother. We just say to the men, you need to pay. My son acted responsibly when he had an intimate relationship with this woman. Okay. He did everything he could do to take care that there would not be a child in this situation.
Rather than supporting your son in something that is wrong, that is shutting this little innocent child out of his life and out of yours, let this child into our life. Let's share in the responsibility and the love, because that's something we'll always be happy we did.
I can guarantee you, as a woman, if the men of this country forced us into motherhood and they said, you must be a mother because I want to be a father, and then the men of this country forced the women to pay them child support for 18 years to support that choice, there would be a rumbling across this country and change would come. Feel free to, change would come immediately.
All right, hold on. I've got to take a break right now. When we come back, Mel says there should be a window of time that a woman is allowed to inform the man that she is pregnant. We're going to talk about that when we come back.
After all he went through, to be humiliated by the judges and punished for bringing a lawsuit in this country, it's amazing to me. We do not have equal justice under the law.
You may remember the case being called Roe versus Wade for men, with a young man, Matt, who says he didn't have a say in whether or not he became a father. And so he took on a legal system that he claims gives all the choice to women. Now, Matt and his mother, Diane, are here, as well as Mel Feit from the National Center for Men's Rights, and Gloria Allred, who goes to court on behalf of many women and their rights and their cases. Now, look, is there a point when two people, a man and a woman, have consensual sex? Once you cross that threshold, aren't you making a conscious assumption of certain risk? Don't you forego certain options because you've now completed the act?
Yeah, but let's be clear. The price of intimacy should not be giving up reproductive choice. And that's what Roe versus Wade stood for. A woman has options. even she's taking a risk, but she's not taking the risk that someone is going to force her to be a parent simply because she had sex. I agree with you. I think the window of opportunity for a man to opt out should be very narrow, even a matter of days. I think a woman should have a responsibility to inform a man that a pregnancy resulted if they have discussed, if they have talked together, that they did not want to be a parent. Under those circumstances where she was not deceived by him, he should have a right to then say to her, it's your body, it's your pregnancy. You do what you want without interference by me, but do not impose your reproductive will on me against my will. And as long as he makes that clear in a matter of days and signs an affidavit with the court, I think he should have a chance to opt out.
All right, so if she wanted to terminate the pregnancy, would he have the right to say no?
I believe in reproductive choice for women. I think a woman should have a right to control her body and her life without interference from a man. I'm an advocate for reproductive choice, not men's rights. I think Gloria is an advocate for women's rights and not reproductive rights.
What do you say?
Well, Dr. Phil, first of all, there's no 100% safe and effective birth control. So that even if both parties were using birth control, it is possible that the woman is going to become pregnant. Once she does become pregnant, she has a right to take that pregnancy to term or to terminate that pregnancy during a certain period of time. Once she takes that pregnancy to term and delivers the baby, then the baby's in existence. Someone is going to need to take care of that child. And that's what this is
Why
really
not an
all
adoptive
about.
family?
Who is going to support the child? We have millions of mothers in this country, Dr. Phil, who are on welfare, aid to families with dependent children. And they're there because fathers are giving countless excuses about why they can't or shouldn't support their babies. If I had $1 for every excuse they give, the mothers of this country would be rich. It's time to go away and stop with the excuses and start supporting your child.
You and I,
they need it.
You and I have an opportunity here, which I think is going to be squandered. We could say, as a men's advocate, as a women's rights lawyer, that the concept of reproductive choice, that you shouldn't be forced to be a parent simply because you have sex, is a fundamental human right deserving of perpetual constitutional protection. You can join me in that and raise this right to a level of a human right. Will you do that?
What about the baby's choice, Mel? The baby's choice to come into the world. The baby is here. Wait, the baby needs food, clothing, shelter, transportation, medical, and lots of other things. Who is going to provide that? It takes two parents, and that's what Matt and Diane should be doing.
Right now, there's some 2 million couples and individuals who are desperate to adopt. I think an adoptive solution is better than forcing someone into parenthood. But the child in this case,
the child, people to place a child for adoption.
The child in this case is going to be brought into a world where there's a lot of inequality between men and women, and resentment, and divorce, and heartache. I'm trying to create a world of greater equality. I think that's in the best interest of all children.
It's not about them anymore. It's about this baby.
Tell us again how long it was after conception that you found out about the child?
Very shortly thereafter, within a matter of weeks, I guess.
Okay, so this would perhaps have been within a window that you would espouse.
And I would give him a very limited time because I want her to know his choice before she acts on her choice. So within a matter of some weeks, and then that's it.
Okay, so, and at that point, you certainly said, I don't want to do this.
I was very clear.
Do you have any feelings at all about the fact that you have a child in this world, whether you wanted it or not, whether it's fair or not, whether the Attorney General was in there making notes while you were doing this, whatever was going on, do you have any thoughts or feelings that you have a child in this world that is your offspring?
Very similar to any parent who's given their child up for adoption. I hope the best for the child. I hope everything turns up great. Those are my feelings.
I think one day, at the end of your life, if you reflect, you're going to say, I wish I had done better for my child.
It is
because
not
my
good
child
for society.
Okay, we've got to take a break. I'm going to add to this conversation. So I'm going to introduce you next to a couple who thought they had the ideal family life. Then, a shock that turned that image upside down as a husband is ordered to get a DNA test for a baby that he never knew existed. We'll be right back.
Noel sat me down and said, I have something devastating to tell you, and explained to me that his ex-girlfriend was having him paternity tested, I should not have to be paying every month to a child and a woman that I don't know because she made a choice to have a child.
Nicole says she thought they had created an ideal family life, happily married with 2 children of their own. Then an ex-girlfriend of her husband, Noel, came into their perfect picture world and asked for a DNA test.
I was down surfing in El Segundo. My car broke down. I knew that she lived real close to there. She came and helped me out with my problem, and I ended up sleeping with her. It was just a chance encounter, a 5-minute deal. She told me that she was taking her birth control and there's no way that she could get pregnant. 2 years later, I was notified by the court that I was to be genetically tested for the probability that I was the father. I had already started a life with my wife and I had already had children.
Noel sat me down and said, I have something devastating to tell you. And through tears, explained to me that his ex-girlfriend was having him paternity tested. Noel really felt blindsided, and he felt trapped.
I think I was wronged. I think I got screwed.
I was overwhelmingly shocked. Noel and I could not believe this was happening to us.
I was given no choice. I was given no voice. I just don't get it.
Well, the results of the DNA test were positive. Noel is the father of this now 2-year-old child. The court ordered him to pay child support, and both Noel and Nicole say this is incredibly unfair.
Noel and I pay $350 a month in child support.
My wife is so strong in her view that we had no choice.
I should not have to be paying every month to a child and a woman that I don't know because she made a choice to have a child.
The whole court and judicial system in its own is a game. I absolutely don't think that I should have to pay anything.
If a woman chooses to have a child as a single mom, then she needs to be responsible for that choice. When the times get tough, that you don't go back and hold somebody else accountable for a choice that she made.
How can anybody seriously look at that situation and not think that I was wronged?
The thing that we fear most about this situation is that it won't ever end. Does she get to come back and ask for more support? Does she want college tuition? Does he need braces? Are we responsible for all the incidental things that come along as this child gets older?
I lead my life right now not knowing where the future's going.
This is a huge black cloud that just hangs over our heads constantly.
You have sex this time, and then you don't hear anything for 2 years.
2 years.
Okay.
In which point I start a family, I make a choice, I have children, I get married for the first time in my life, the only time, and I establish my life by choice.
Okay, but you do have a child in the world. I mean, this is your biological child.
Absolutely.
What is your responsibility to this child? Whether intended or otherwise, this is your offspring.
Well, I mean, at this point, I choose not to participate in the child's life. We pay our monthly support and we do our thing. And I don't know, as you talk to Matt, I don't know if that's right. You know, I don't know how I'm going to feel down the road. She makes good points. Mel makes good points.
Okay, but I'm glad they make good points. That's why I ask them here, because they're good point makers. But my question is to you, just man to man, do you feel any sense of responsibility to this child? Do you want to know this child? Do you... However the child came to be, this is part of you.
At this point, I choose not to. I had made a choice to get married and have children, and I'm leading my own life. And in the meantime, while I've done that, 2 years later down the road, I'm now notified that I'm a father without any choice or a voice. So I don't know at this point. I mean, life has been really complicated over the last 4 or 5 years.
I suspect. And at this point, how much of this is influenced by your wife at this? Because you're very adamant about this. You resent having to pay this money.
Absolutely.
You resent having him have to be even financially involved with this child, right?
I resent that our perfect circle that we created by choice, we chose to be married, we chose to have 2 children, we chose to buy a house, everything we chose was a conscious choice. And we created something very valuable, and that this incident, this woman who made her choices, has come in and crumbled our foundation.
Noel has, in my mind, 2 children. I do not believe that DNA is the measure of fatherhood any more than if he had become a sperm donor and there was another child running around the world with his DNA. And you know how I know that? Because it's gone to court. And when fathers who find that maybe a child that they thought was theirs wasn't, and they seek to be absolved of child support because there's no DNA connection, courts always say DNA is not the measure of fatherhood. He's a sperm donor with this other child. He has 2 children, not 3.
You should not be punishing the child. You are punishing the child because the child's in existence. Yes, the child, don't shake your head no at me, because the child is being punished by not having the love and the support of the child's father.
We have 2 children that get all the love that we need. We did not choose this woman's
But she's not talking about what you need. She's talking about what the child needs. All right, we have to take a break. When we come back, we're going to find out what the other woman has to say about Noel. Now, Nicole and Noel have been giving child support to his ex-girlfriend for a baby they never knew existed when they got married. They say the effect of all of this is not just financial. Nicole says it's taken an emotional toll as well.
We absolutely see our family as a family of 4. We don't regard the other child. I don't feel responsible for this child at all. I feel that Noel was basically a sperm donor to this woman to have a child.
I had already started a life by choice with my wife, and I had already had children. And this just threw a big wrench into the whole system.
It affected Noel and I as a family in so many ways. The tension of that reality really tore us apart, and it really broke up that perfect circle. The conscious choices that we made and the effort that we have put into creating this world that we live has been shaken by the choice of another woman when we have to tell our children that they have a half-brother out there. And that's the part that is really shattering. It's going to just really devastate their world.
Now, I want to say that we invited the mother of the child to be here, and she accepted at first and then changed her mind. This is what her response to us was. Quote, unless I get paid at least $5,000, I'm not willing to put my life out there. Now, just for the record, we do not pay our guests to appear on the show at all. Here's more of what she wrote. This is based on Noel's ego-driven need to put on Front Street.
Well, and I just want to go back to the fact that she never wanted Noel to have any participation with this child in the first place. She simply wanted the cash, and she made that very clear. She is still enforcing her rights as a woman. And again, you know, you're saying this child has a right. Well, you've now bypassed the rights of a man to make any choices of his own.
Well, actually,
a woman
it's not
has
true,
complete
because
rights.
he does have the right to visit the child.
But whose rights are more important at this point?
He has that right, and he can enforce that right. He doesn't have a duty, and I wish it were a legal duty.
I'm sure you do.
For the future. But he does have a right to visit the child, to participate in that child's life, and whether or not she wants him to, he could go to court and enforce that.
Suppose it could be proved that the woman in this case defrauded him and tricked him and set him up, and it was all about money. Suppose he could prove that. Should there be any consequence to the woman for that fraud? Any at all?
Now, let me tell you something.
What's the
I'm
answer?
asking
Most of us in the studio and watching the Dr. Phil show today, let me finish my sentence, please. Have a little courtesy. Most of us are the product of unplanned pregnancies. Now, that's just the reality
Not my kids.
of life.
Well, you didn't
and
answer the
some
question.
people are, and some people are not. Courts are not going to get into how a child came to be in existence. The court wants to protect the child and make sure that that child is supported and not left hungry on the street without shoes,
And the result
without
is that
clothing,
the courts wind up
without
countenancing
care.
fraud
That's
and
what we need to
rewarding
do.
fraud,
You
and
know,
that shouldn't be the
no,
case.
as a society, the public policy is correct. We need to protect children
But we are
because
looking
you
for
know what?
protection
You're an
for
adult.
men.
You can protect yourself, but that's a little baby, and that baby cannot protect.
Okay, well, we're
himself.
talking about fraud in the situation, or where someone clearly has made a conscious decision to not be a father to begin with. All right, next we're going to find out what happens if a woman wants to go after financial support, even if a man says he just donated his sperm. We'll be right back. What if a man donated his sperm to a woman, and years later she went to court for child support? Clearly, it was a donation of sperm. Now, it's happened, and attorney John Purcell represented a man in a case that wound up changing the law in Pennsylvania. Now, his client claimed to have donated sperm that produced twins. When they were 5 years old, the mother went after him for child support. What happened when it first went to trial, John?
Well, when we first went to trial, we lost. It sort of assumed that in most cases, the anonymity of the father would be presumed and nobody would go after the father. But she knew who it was because he donated his sperm to what was at the time an ex-girlfriend.
This actually went on for 5 years. So he paid child support for all that time. So we're talking about, what, $65,000, right?
Yeah, roughly.
That he paid for donating, and now the Supreme Court has upheld that he doesn't have that responsibility. So does he have any recourse to get that money back?
Well, it's not over yet. We have a petition before the court pending right now in which we're asking for an order for the return of the money. Whether we'll get it or not, I don't know.
Now, Mel, I'm sure you think that was just crazy that they required him to pay when he had just donated sperm. You don't think he should be responsible when he made a donation of sperm? This wasn't this. Do you still think he should be responsible?
If a sperm donation is made through a licensed sperm bank, then it's clear that the sperm donor should not have to pay child support, because then it's clear that both parties know that the sperm donor is not going to be responsible for the child. But if it's not through a sperm bank, through some other means, and they're going to have to check the law of their state first, because it may be that he is not a real sperm donor and may have to support the child.
Broader solution here is to say that fatherhood, like motherhood, should be a matter of choice and should not be defined by DNA. That would solve this problem and other problems.
The broader solution is to sit down and talk with your partner and know your partner before you get into bed with them. That's what you really should do, have an understanding of them.
It's clearly a hot topic. I'm sure we're not through with it yet. All right, next, we're going to talk to a TV star and radio personality who receives a phone call from the son he never knew. Find out how he first thought it was all a big scam. We'll be right back. Well, you probably know him best from his roles on TV's Cheers and also as Candice Bergen's love interest on Murphy Brown. But at age 31, Jay Thomas was struggling to get his career going in Hollywood. That's when an unplanned pregnancy really impacted his life. He and his girlfriend agonized over the choice, but decided to place the child for adoption. Little did Jay know, 18 years later, the son he never knew would track him down and ask to be part of his life. Please welcome two-time Emmy winner, Jay Thomas.
Thank you.
What did you think when you got that first phone call? It was from the bio
Well, you
mom,
hear
right?
a voice you haven't heard in, almost 20 years or whatever, and so, okay, here we go. So you hear the voice, and then you hear this story that there's this boy, and he lives near your house, and he's in the neighborhood where you live. I said, I didn't want to hear about it. I said, we gave the kid up. I hope he had a nice life, and, if anybody knows me, they know that I'm kind of cut and dried. And so then I said, I think it's a scam. This is a guy scamming me, right? Scamming you. So let's, So finally, we talk on the phone. And I said, look, you had a nice life? He goes, I had a great life. You love your parents? Great. I go, okay, good. I got no interest in you, And he says, well, I don't need anything from you. And I said, okay, cool. So I said, look, why don't we, I said, I'd like to meet you, but I want to meet you in a public place in case you're crazy and you try to kill me or something like that. So he says, what do you do? I said, I don't want you to know what I do, okay? I'll meet you someplace like that. So she says to him, well, he's not like us. He's not like other people. And he thinks, well, he's like, in jail, or he's, I don't know what he is, clown or something. So finally, she says, he bugs her, and she says, well, he's an actor. And he, of course, had always wanted to be a musician. And he says, well, just tell me a show he's been on. And she says, well, he was Ted Danson, I'm rich. I'm rich. She says, no, it's not Ted Danson. It's Jay Thomas. And there was a pause, I think. My picture had been all over L.A. on the radio. I'd been on every show. This kid had watched me his whole life and lived, and a 80-foot poster of mine was across the street from his apartment when I was in the radio in L.A. And so now, I don't know that he's that happy that I'm his dad. He wasn't interested in me being his dad. So I said, I tell you what, I'm doing a show. Okay, you know who it is. I have a comedian friend of mine named Rodney Lee Conover who has gone to my vasectomy. He goes to all kind of horrifying things for me and with me. So I said, look, this kid who says he's my son is going to go to one of the shows. You sit next to him, and you come backstage later and tell me what you think. So I'm doing this comedy show, and he comes backstage, and he says, I'm sitting next to you 20 years ago. And then we met that night, and within 2 weeks, he was house sitting. He was with my family. I have 2 boys, and, you know, it just worked out great for us.
So let's meet Jay's son, JT.
Yeah.
What do you say, man? Good to see you. Have a seat.
How's it going, man?
Okay, good, good.
Yeah. Hold me, Jay. Hold me.
I will.
Hold me, Jay.
All right.
How's it going?
No, you sit over here. Sit over there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
His first non-egotistical moment. Quiet, sir.
So what did you think when you met him?
Oh my God, I'm gonna be bald.
Worse things could happen. Worse things could happen. All right.
Oh my God.
Were you scared when you met? Were you nervous?
I was, but I was also, you know, kind of thrilled. I've always been very curious where I came from. I've had 2, or still have, you know, 2 great parents. I was nervous what my parents would feel, and my brother back at home. But yeah, it was very exciting, you know.
And there were so many similarities between the 2 of you. I find it so odd or interesting that you're living in an apartment here and there's an 80-foot picture of your bio dad across the street and you don't know it's him, but you've seen it a million times.
And it had the body of a woman, and it said, "We apologize for Jay Thomas," you know, and so it was very surreal. I was working at a CD store that Jay had come into. I had taken my demo tape trying to get a record deal to a movie premiere where some rock stars were, and Jay was actually emceeing that. I'd never met him, didn't know who he was, and my friends and I were heckling him, you know, "Bring out Prince, you know, you loudmouth." I mean, it was bizarre, you know. And these are all true stories, and but it's been pretty exciting. He has an amazing wife named Sally and 2 great kids named Jake and Sam. And
so at this point, you're clearly glad that you got the phone call.
Well, if he had been a nut, I wouldn't have hung around with him. Yeah. I mean, he's a nut. But, you know, when he and I met, I mean, I have more in common with him than I do with my 2 boys now, who, they see me every day. They don't find me so silly and interesting and all. JT and I find each other very interesting. We also find each other very, very, we like ourselves, too. So when I met him, I said, gee, it's fun to meet somebody who gets me. Finally, we started saying that
I'm sorry to interrupt, but he wasn't allowed to tell his kids who I was because, you know, his wife, who was great, is like, you know, say he's your cousin or their uncle, they're going to be all messed up, you know, so we, you know.
No, my wife said, Dr. Phil says you need to go to therapy. So I said, okay. She said, and they would want to know who's JT. They loved him, and I would just say he's my friend. It was 2-for-1 margarita night at the Red Robin one night. I was losing about $10,000 on a football game. I had 2 margaritas. My 8-year-old son sits down, and I go, "Hey, you know JT? You know who he is?" "Who did?" "He's your brother." And he says, "When did Mom have him?" I said, all of a sudden, I was sorry I said it. I said, no, he didn't. Your mom didn't have him. Another woman had him. And he says, "Where does she live?" I said, and then he said, "Are you going to give us away?" I said, no. So I get him in the car, you know, and I say, look, you can't tell Mom because we're going to go to a therapist and we're going to talk, and the therapist is going to tell you, and you have to act surprised. So I give him candy and balloons and whatever he wants. So we get back to the house, and my wife's in the kitchen, and he just runs in and runs upstairs, and she goes, how was it? Oh, you know, it's good, blah, blah, blah. The little one comes running down the stairs and says, Mom, you know JT? He's our brother. And I turned to my wife and I said, we just saved $10,000 in therapy.
Well, that is wrong on so many levels. I can't even begin to tell you.
Yeah.
That's a whole show.
Exactly.
That's a whole show.
All right.
All right, we got to get out of here, but I thank you guys for coming. I wanted
Party
people
Like a
to
Rock
know...
Star is his new song, which I hope he makes a lot of money and gives me some of it.
I just wanted to show you an example that sometimes that phone call is a good thing. Jay Thomas, you can hear him on Sirius Satellite Radio. Tell me the name of the song again.
I'm Gonna Party Like a Rock Star by JTX.
We'll be right back. Thanks so much. Well, we've tried to talk about this from all sides and all angles. And for more information on today's show, I want you to go to drphil.com. You can join our online community and talk to others going through some of the same issues that you may be going through. And, you know, we go to the message boards. I want to hear what you think about this. I mean, clearly we're talking about whether men have the right to choose fatherhood or not. I want to know what you think about that. Thanks to Jay Thomas for sharing his son and his story with us today. And you can dial Jay up digitally on Sirius Satellite Radio, so make sure to give him a listen. You will be entertained. So, JT, thanks for coming. I appreciate you being here, Jay. Thank you. Thanks to attorney Gloria Allred, John Purcell, and director of National Center for Men, Mel Fight. And thanks to all of my guests, Matt, Diane, Nicole, and Noel, for talking about a very difficult subject. We'll see you next time. So long. Today on an all-new Dr. Phil.
What secrets could your spouse be hiding?
That was my big red flag.
Why are you hiding it? What's she going to see if she looks at it?
I had kissed this woman, and that is what I told her.
I just found out about that.
Kissing some woman and chatting her up are two dramatically different things.
Set your DVR, a show all couples must watch.
I'm here for my marriage.
We're going to take a totally unique approach to what we're doing today.
Stand by, Dr. Phil. Some say it's a hard life, but it's hard for us all. Always hold on. In 10, always be strong. Reach out. 5, 4, 3, 2, stand by, count 6. Go, Dr. Phil. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. Everybody have a seat. And at home, if you just tuned in, let me give you a heads-up alert. I'm dealing with a marriage today.
Nothing startling about that. It's a marriage that, in my opinion, is in big trouble. I mean, huge, big trouble. We're going to take a totally unique, high-risk, high-reward approach to what we're doing today. Because short of that, this marriage is done when they leave here today. Now, at the risk of sounding rational, even logical, I intend to approach this with some common sense. How strange is that? And call for total unvarnished truth and honesty between husband and wife. Well, their names are Brian and Deanne, so let me just ask them to come on out. Okay, guys, welcome. So, Deanne, tell me, why did you want to be here today?
I'm torn between my head and my heart as to what the best step for me would be next, for not only for myself but for my family as well.
But do you really want answers?
Yes.
Tell me why you wanted to be here. Or did you, or are you just here because you figure it's a good faith effort because she wanted to be here, so you're here under duress?
No, not at all. I'm here for my marriage.
Because this is in the ditch, right? You've actually filed for divorce and you've had him sign the papers.
Yes.
You just haven't turned them back into the courthouse yet. That's how far this has gone.
Correct.
The question is, are you willing to, no kidding, bottom line, be honest here today with me and with each other?
Very much so.
Yes.
Now think about what you just said. Because I have a life law. Life law number 4 says you cannot change what you don't acknowledge. Now, if you two are a couple of right fighters and you're here to just kind of cover your butt and try to skate through some stuff, you might get through today, but come on, I mean, it won't be 3 weeks. You won't get home before it's in the ditch again. Would you like me to start with you?
Yes.
Please do.
Okay.
That's probably the first truthful answer that's made sense to me.
Trust in a marriage is everything. It's the foundation. If you don't have it, you don't have anything. I want nothing more than to have my wife and family back. I can make it right. That I'm a better person. You know, I am that same guy that she fell in love with 15 years ago.
Number 1, did you have an affair during your engagement?
No.
Okay, so are you telling me that that is not true?
That is correct.
So you're denying that?
It did not happen.
Okay, you don't believe that, do you?
No.
Okay, let's take a look at what your wife had to say about this.
After that first affair, when he, went off and we were engaged, it took me a long time once we got back together to rebuild that trust.
Okay, so she's wrong.
I did not leave her for another woman. I was not with this other woman at the time. You know, there was a coworker that I was with, but it wasn't in that sense. It wasn't a sexual relationship or anything like that.
Did you do anything with that woman that you wouldn't have done if she had been standing right there?
No, I did not do anything with that woman, regardless if she was here or not.
Okay, so do you think you're being lied to on the very first point?
Yes.
Then what's the point? I mean, aren't we done?
Anytime something comes up, it always, she goes back to, well, you did this 14 years ago, you did this 15 years ago.
Do I not have a right to do that when it comes back in your face again? I'm torn. I'm like this little ping pong ball. I keep going back and forth. Like, I love him and I'm in love with him, but it's so hard to believe.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's go down the list. All right, so you deny this one.
That's correct.
Okay, so we'll mark that as denied. All right. She says that you had a second affair close to the time that your son was born.
Actually, the second affair where he was calling that one girl, it was right after I had Everett. He met her in November, and I'm not finding out this phone call until July. So I don't know how long it was going on for.
Yes, I did.
All right, so you admit that. Has he admitted that to you before?
No.
All right, but you admit it now?
Yes. It was not a sexual affair. It wasn't anything. I talked with this woman, you know, and most of the talks that we had were about the situation that we were in. And I had told her about that. You know, I had kissed this woman. And that...
I just found out about that, though.
And that is what I told her. That is
Everett's
what I told her.
9 now, and...
Well,
this
kissing
happened.
some woman and chatting her up about your marriage are two dramatically different things. I chat with a lot of women during the day, but don't kiss them. I mean, come on, listen, I'm just trying to be honest with you. You probably think I'm being hard on you, but if it's not on the table, it's gonna bite you later because she doesn't trust you. Okay, next, she said that just recently you had a 3-month affair.
It wasn't 3 months. I had an affair. This is why I'm where I'm at.
4, 2, 1?
It was roughly 6 weeks.
Okay, 6 weeks. Let's hear what your wife had to say about this.
I finally asked him, well, did you sleep with her? And, you know, he put his head down and, you know, said, yeah. I just got in my closet and curled up in the fetal position and just cried. It's so hard to believe that, you know, that's really what he wants.
So you're saying you had a 6-week affair?
That is correct.
He said he met her in October, and then it ended in...
Right in November.
Okay, seriously, does it really matter?
No, it doesn't.
December. It ended in December.
Does it really matter to you
No.
if it's 6 weeks or 12 weeks?
It doesn't.
Did you start sending your cell phone bill to work?
I did at the end.
Okay, so you admit that?
That is correct.
Does that bother you that he's hiding his cell phone bill? He started redirecting his cell phone bill?
Yeah, well, that was my big red flag. It just dawned on me one day that the phone bill's not coming here anymore. And I thought, I wonder why. Why, you know, where's it going? So I called and they said, well, we have it going to, you know, this address. So it was just eating me up.
You understand why that's a problem for her? Because people who have nothing to hide nothing, right?
That is correct.
So you started hiding that bill? Why are you hiding that bill? What's she going to see if she looks at it?
Probably the phone numbers, the times that I called, you know, just the phone numbers.
So there's something there you didn't want you to see. So you're right to be concerned about that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remove your wedding ring when you go out?
Not when I go out. I don't wear it for what I do in work. But I don't take it off to go out at night or to go golfing. Well, when I golf, I take it off, but I don't wear it at work.
Well, let's hear what was said about this.
He'd pull off his wedding ring, and a lot of times he just didn't wear it. He just never wore his wedding ring. It used to bother me.
Okay, so that's just not true. You don't take your ring off when you go out with your buddies?
No, not at all.
You don't? Why do you think he does?
Sometimes when we go out, he wouldn't put it on. Sometimes he would. You know, it just depended. But that particular night, she actually saw him take it off and put it in his pocket.
Who saw that?
My daughter.
I don't wear my wedding ring. I don't wear my wedding ring because of the work that I do.
What do you do?
Automotive repair.
And when you go out socially, do you like fix people's cars or something?
No, not at all.
So you could wear it when you go out socially?
That is correct.
But you don't?
No, I don't.
You don't wear it socially? Is that bothersome to you?
Very much. And he knew it. Because to me, that's the way that you honor your wife, is to wear your wedding ring, so that when you're in situations when there's other people around, that, you know, they don't assume that you're not married.
All right, well, so you deny that you do that on a regular basis. Look, the list goes on, and trust me, I've got a list for you as well.
Oh,
We're going to get to it next. We'll take a break, and we'll be right back. We're trying to get it on the table.
When we got back together, we decided to go for marriage and family counseling. So we went together and went separate as well. The last time I went to see her, I asked her, what do you think? You know, would you marry him? You know, if you were me, would you marry him? And she said,
All right, we're back with Deanna and Brian, and we're talking about the broken trust in their marriage. And this is a marriage that's in trouble. In fact, divorce has been filed. It's been signed by Brian. Deanna has the papers. She's debating whether to turn them in or not. And what I'm saying is, I don't want to talk to people with half the story. I don't want to talk to people and deal with half the truth, half the problems, and have people run an agenda that they're just going to go home and be right back where they started. So I'm trying to get it all out on the table here. What I'm doing is going through a list with you of the things that you have said are broken trust for you, things that cause you not to be able to feel comfortable about him, and therefore you wouldn't feel good about him coming home. But yet you're trying to find a way that you can feel okay about getting back together, right?
Yes.
That would be your dream. That would be your hope, that you could live in harmony and honesty and openness. So I'm trying to get everything on the table so there's no stone left unturned. There's no complaints you have that you haven't vetted and put out there. And you understand why we're doing that, right? Yes. The next thing on the list is that you inappropriately touched Stephanie's friend. True or false, or drinking?
I was drinking. That's what I was told the next morning. You know, I was laying on the floor and she was on the couch. I don't know the inappropriate, I don't know, I think I touched her hand.
Basically, he was coming on to her, and that made her uncomfortable, so she pretended she was sleeping.
So do we take that as a denial or as an admission? It did happen or it didn't happen?
I would say probably an admission that it did happen.
Okay, so it did happen. Are you still calling and texting women?
No.
After I found out about the affair with the other girl, he still kept calling her and talking to her. After he tells me that he's not talking to her anymore, phone call comes in and it's her. The last time I checked was last month, and I told him I was never going to look again because I had seen what I needed to see again, in my face. And that was right before he had gone into the center for treatment. That 2 nights before he went in, there was calls to that same person, all hours, for lengthy conversations, just trying to get a hold of her, apparently.
All right, well, let's just go through these and get them up there. There are family members that say that you have pushed Deanna to sell the homes, her assets, to buy a business for you.
He would break her down to where she did sell, because I'd ask her, I said, why did you do that? Why did you do? She says, I just got so tired of Brian just nagging at me. He just couldn't handle that she had that and he didn't provide it for her.
When we first met, I basically had everything. He was just out of college, didn't have as much things that he had worked for. I had worked hard my whole life for what I had. And when he sort of stepped into my world, because I already had 2 children, I had my career, it was easier that way. And when I just feel like he never wanted to be a part of all those things, and wanted to just get rid of them. So for example, when things went wrong with the rental house, he wouldn't really go down and fix it. I couldn't get him to do those kind of things.
All right, do you want her to be a stay-at-home wife?
He would always say, all I want is her to be a stay-at-home mom, and I would say, she's not that type. That's what my husband wanted from me, and I did it. But Deanne was a career-type person.
I'd rather, if she's going to be at home, be a mom. That's always been a big concern of mine. And I have no problem with her being at home, none whatsoever.
Okay, but that's what you want, and you want her to do everything that goes along with that.
Very much so.
Okay. How about drinking and driving?
I mean, he would drink doubles and triples, and when he's all Mr. Happy and Mr. just kind of loud and obnoxious, really, and then he would get behind the wheel. That was my big concern always, was just him driving, because he wouldn't know when to stop, and he was always, no, I can drive.
But you're now sober for 52 days?
That is actually 54, I'm sorry.
So you're not drinking and driving now, but you have in the past?
I have.
Okay. How about casino gambling?
Yes.
To the tune of 20 grand?
26.
$26,000.
I didn't even know it was that much, so.
Do you believe that you have been an inappropriate model for your son?
Very much.
You concerned about that?
Very much.
Okay, take a look over your shoulder at the list. Deanna, is that somebody you want to be married to?
No.
He denies the affair during engagement. He denies that he takes his ring off when he goes out, but you don't believe that, do you?
No.
Okay. And calling and texting women up until he went into rehab, you were doing that inappropriately, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's really an admission, I suppose. There's two sides to this story. We're going to take a look at Deanna's list when we come back. All right, we're talking about broken trust in a family that is being torn apart by lies and betrayal. Now, Deanna is considering divorce, even though they do have young children. I've always said that until you can look your children in the eye and say, I did everything I could to save the marriage, only then have you earned the right to quit. So what I'm wanting to do today is get everything on the table so these two know if the person is still lying, and if they're telling the truth, if it's something that is a drop-dead deal breaker. Now, we've just been through Brian's list, and Deanna says, when I look at that list together, it's not somebody that I want to be married to. But there are two sides to this, and so I want to ask you some questions to see what you are willing to be honest about and what you're not. Now, you've been married how long?
12 years.
Okay, now you believe that Brian cheated while you were engaged, and you married him anyway?
Yes. I loved him. I was in love with him.
You married Brian against your counselor's advice. You even said, I'm not objective about this, I'm going to get advice from a professional, and they said, do not do this.
And I never told him she said that either.
Let's take a look at this.
When we got back together, we decided to go for marriage and family counseling. So we went together and went separate as well. And the last time I went to see her, I asked her, you know, well, what do you think? You know, would you marry him? You know, if you were me, would you marry him? And she said, off the record, I wouldn't marry him. And I closed the door and never went back.
If you knew then what you know now, would you have married him?
No.
All right. Brian and others say that you neglect the family.
In certain ways, yes. You know, I've always been very independent, very early on because of my family situation.
Well, let's hear what Brian has to say about it.
Deanna is a workaholic. She's a perfectionist in everything that she does. That's taken priority over everything else. Our intimacy level, it was non-existent. It was like ordering a pizza. You know, I mean, I'd have to ask for it. And even when we did, there was always a complaint. Breast stings, you're pushing on my stomach. The romance was gone, the passion was gone.
Okay, now let's be specific about this. As you don't cook for the kids, you make them late for school, you're late picking them up, so they're standing around waiting for you to get there, that you work 75 hours a week.
Deanna's normal workday can range anywhere from 6 o'clock in the morning all the way till 4 in the morning. The kids would have to be to school at 8 o'clock. They're usually running late because she's still on the computer. There's times that she's late picking them up because she's still doing her business. I get home at 7 o'clock at night, tell the kids, hey, you know what, it's time to get ready for bed. Let's get your homework done, let's get the showers done fast. Dad, we haven't had dinner yet. She's still up doing her things.
My work is in my home, so I might work that many hours, like it might consume that much of my day, but I'm not working continuously that long. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing other things, doing laundry.
Look at the list. I mean, I'm just trying to determine if you're really vested in this thing, or are you not?
Yes, no, I am. And I haven't, the kids haven't been late for school this whole year and, you know, part of last year because it was an issue for my son. He always hated to be late to school. I mean, he hates it, so.
Okay, so you
I've
deny
made
that you've taken him to school late?
No, I have.
On a regular basis?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so you did. So that's
Yes.
not a denial, that's an admission.
That's not a denial, I admit
And
that.
do you pick them up late?
Yes, I had in the past during carpools, so.
Mm-hmm. Have you made Brian watch you date other men?
I made him watch me date 2 other guys for 8 months, and then I was kind of dating him and another guy at the same time. He hated it. It was after the first affair, and I was dating somebody. I was in a, you know, not seriously dating, but dating all the time. And I just felt at that time that if he really, really, truly loved me and wanted to, you know, marry me like he had promised, you know, before he left the engagement, that I mean, I didn't purposely do it to, you know, hurt him, but I just wanted to make sure that, you know, it was real, that he really wanted to marry me, and if he did, then he would stick it out and be okay with it.
Do you now have an inappropriate relationship with a family friend?
No.
The family friend that we have used to live across the street from us. We sold the one condo we had, and we bought another one. Well, he bought one right next door to us. He would come over to the house and fix the computer, but he'd only do that when I wasn't there. I've always felt that he has feelings for her. My wife is the beneficiary of his will. At Christmas time, he would buy the kids gifts, and he'd also buy something for my wife. And I'd usually get left out. One time in passing, I checked her emails, and you know, she was conversing with him at 2, 3 in the morning. I think that she should probably be in bed with me. You know, so it's always bothered me.
Does
I don't
this
think
family friend give you money?
Yes, he has.
$25,000 worth of money.
Oh, he's given us a lot of money. A lot more than $25,000.
Brian, how do you feel about that? Do you think this is an inappropriate relationship?
I do.
Do you think it's inappropriate for this man to be giving her money, lots of money?
He gave it to both of us.
That is correct. He's helped the family.
I understand.
He's helped the family, but it's gone a little bit, in my opinion, it's gone a little bit further. It's kind of crossed the line.
So you deny that there is anything inappropriate with this person?
There's nothing inappropriate. I feel like you can have a friend of the opposite sex and have them be a friend when they've been a friend since prior to our marriage anyway. So I don't know why.
You go to Vegas with him?
I have, yes. When we would go for like the day, we'd just fly for the day. It started out as a birthday tradition. We would fly to, actually it was Reno. We'd fly to Reno for the day. We'd gamble and then fly home. But Brian knew every single time, and it was just mostly every year on my birthday that we would go.
So on your birthday, you go with another man to some casino somewhere?
Mm-hmm, yes.
Listen, I'm just an old country Texas boy. Really, I'm not much about bright lights in big city, but I've been to a few county fairs.
Yeah.
I even saw some flocked wallpaper once. But it doesn't make sense to me that a man's wife loads up on her birthday and goes to some gambling junket with a friend.
That's what it was.
Who, by the way, also plies with money.
If you know there's nothing going on, then I don't find anything wrong with it.
Okay, now come on. Are you sitting there telling me that on its face that doesn't seem inappropriate?
I don't think so.
Okay, let's take a poll. If you think it's inappropriate for a woman to go on her birthday out of town with another man while she's married, stand up. Brian, I assume you're standing symbolically.
I am.
All right. When we come back, we're going to talk about where this goes, if anywhere.
I felt miserable. The pain that I saw in her, the hurt, and all the things that I've built with her, gone. It's like letting air out of a balloon.
One of the most common questions I get is, Dr. Phil, can a marriage survive infidelity? Should a marriage survive infidelity? And if so, how? And how do you minimize the damage to an entire family? Now, first off, do you want to stay married?
Yes.
I mean, even after what you've heard today, the things that we've talked about today, you've said, if I'd known then what I know now, I wouldn't have married this man. I've now heard him tell me things that I suspected that he is now confirming for me that violate my moral standards. Why do you want to be married?
I just have never wanted to not be a family. It's always been, that's I think why I've put up with the things over the years and covered things up and pretended and made excuses. It's because I never not wanted to be married to him. I always did. Obviously, I've done what I've done. I mean, if I had a crystal ball that knew, you know, that said he would never do this again, and yes, you can be a whole family, and yes, you can heal through this, then I think I could. But if it's looking like, you know, look, he's done this repeatedly, it's a pattern, and this is what's going to happen, and this is how it's going to be.
Can she trust you?
Yes, she can.
I mean, now, come on. I want you to think about this before you answer. You know I am very hard on people that drink and drug. I am a huge fan of rehab, but I'm always leery of people that go become kind of these rehab products and then they're totally new people, because there's an 85% failure rate on people that drink and drug. And the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. And that doesn't speak well here.
No.
You think you are a changed person.
In progress. You know, in progress. You know, I don't feel like, you know, going into treatment, you know, that I come out after the amount of time that I was there and, you know, I'm just a new man, you know, new blossomed man. You know, it's every day's progress for me. You know, I've been dealing with different things in different ways that I've never done before. You know, and that's, am I a changed man? I have changed a lot. I have changed a lot. Am I perfect? No, I'm not perfect. You know, there's still a lot of things that I have problems with, but I deal with them.
All right. I'm going to take a break. When we come back, I want to take a look at Brian's list and talk about the problems for Deanna when we get back.
Here's your father figure, and he's done this to your mom and your family. It's not the first time he has done it.
My mom lives in her own little world sometimes. I don't think that one person is at fault.
Well, we're talking to a family that says they are shaken to the core by the husband's affair. Not everybody agrees, by the way. Your daughters are kind of split on this thing, aren't
Yes, they are.
They have different attitudes about you and different attitudes about you. Deanna has two daughters, by the way, from her first marriage. They've grown up with Brian as their stepdad, and they've both been affected by what's been going on here, including this affair. Now, 22-year-old Brianna says she's afraid Brian will cheat again, and it's shaken her trust in all men.
I think that my mom should stay separated from my stepfather. It's not the first time he has done it, and I truly believe that people don't really change who they are. The fact that here's your father figure, and he's done this to your mom and your family, especially when he told me he would never do it again, and then here it is years down the road, and he's just repeated the same thing.
Well, older sister Stephanie says the problem doesn't lie with Brian at all. It lies with her mother.
My mom's work habit did affect my stepdad's infidelity. He told me that he was angry and resentful of my mom and how much she was working. He said that he always felt we were just like a group of individuals living in a house together, and we never really did family stuff. My mom lives in her own little world sometimes, and she tends to block certain things out. I definitely think that it takes two to tango. I don't think that one person is at fault.
So, Brianna, what do you want to see happen here?
I would like to say I'd like to see them stay together, but deep down I just don't feel that it's right, because it just seems to be a continuous pattern of the things that have gone over, like that have happened over the past couple years. And I just feel if they stay together, that's going to be exactly, we're going to be in the same exact spot in a year or 2 years, or...
Stephanie, you disagree. You think the problem is with your mother, not your stepfather.
I don't blame just my mom, and I don't blame just my dad. But I think that they both need to take ownership for what each of them has done.
So you like me asking the questions, so both of them have to be honest about their involvement in this.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think about the answers that I got from the two of them?
I have never really heard my mom acknowledge a lot of the things that she did when you were going through the list. So that was nice for her to hear her actually admit that she is a workaholic.
On top of the emotional price, Louise says Deanna has paid a hefty financial price, too. We talked about this on the list. Let's hear what Mom has to say about this.
He was not a go-getter. Deanne had to be the breadwinner. It was Deanne that wanted him to start the business. And she said, you can do it. She managed somehow that they got the business, but they were left with one home. Then he had a gambling problem, and that wasn't healthy in the relationship.
Do you think she should file those divorce papers?
From what she has been going through with the affairs, and I've seen how it has affected her physically, mentally, I feel she should.
Well, this affects everybody. We've got stepchildren here because this is a blended family. We have 2 biological children between the 2 of these. And coming up, you're going to hear a disturbing note that was found in their 9-year-old son's bedroom. We'll be right back.
When I saw that list, I was shocked. I knew he had anger issues, but I would never expected to find something like that.
The affair has affected the whole entire family. For me, and the way I look at relationships and men.
I hold resentments now. I feel like I was forced to grow up too fast.
Just kind of torn things apart.
Well, we're talking to a family that feels shaken to the core by the husband's affair. Now, Deanna believes that her 9-year-old son, Everett, has been harshly affected by the breakdown of this marriage, which is certainly no surprise. The family found a to-do list in his bedroom that Everett wrote just a few days ago.
It was a to-do list that Everett had written. There were like 4 things on that list. The very first one was kill, this boy. The next one was like get this girl for a girlfriend. And then the next one was buy her something really nice like a diamond ring. And then the last thing on the list was have sex with her and go to bed. And he's 9.
Did you look at his list?
I did.
And number 1 on his list was kill his friend. And if he didn't get that done, he says day after, he says, if I didn't get him killed the first day, kill him today.
Yes.
Okay. He says, go out and buy this little girl something nice like a diamond ring. And you bought her a diamond ring, right?
I did.
Was it a peace offering? Why did you buy her a diamond ring?
No, it wasn't a peace offering at all.
That's what you felt like, right?
After I found out about the affair, yes. Why would you go out and buy me this $20,000 diamond ring when you're having an affair with somebody else? Why? I just couldn't understand that. When I would show it to people, they'd be, oh, that's a big guilt ring, like before I even knew of anything. So I was like, huh? No. Or boy, what did he do wrong? Like I'm flashing it around, everybody's like, what a gorgeous ring. And somebody, people would joke and say, oh, was that a guilt ring? And I'm thinking, no, not at all. And then I found out about the affair, and then, it's like in my face.
I notice you're not wearing it.
No.
You are amazingly passionless about this whole thing. Have you checked out?
No, I don't think so.
It's really, I've seen more passion out of people ordering lunch.
Really?
Really? I mean,
I can see that.
I mean, you're just kind of like, yeah, whatever.
I just feel so damaged over all of this, and I'm not saying that I didn't have anything to do with it, but I don't feel that the things that have been done and things in the past in our marriage ever should have warranted an affair. But I still do have that fear, when I call his work and he's not there, or I call his cell phone and he doesn't pick up. It's like I get that sick feeling, like where is he and what's he doing? Even though he's telling me that you know, that he's not talking to anybody, not doing that. It's just that.
Okay, but you understand the fact that you still have such raw wounds that you have to do that you're calling up there and checking, that should tell you right straight up you are not ready to be in a marriage with this man. The fact that you can't trust him, that you have these feelings that you have to call and check and interrogate and wonder and worry, that is not the basis for a healthy marriage.
Not at all.
And let me tell you, children would rather be from a broken home than live in one. And right now, they're living in the middle of all of this, and you're seeing the residuals with your son. You have no choice but to put those children's interest above your own and decide what's ready. Do you think that you're ready to, like, just move back together and resume your life as a family?
No, not at all.
Do you think you are?
No.
Because I'm going to tell you, it's not even a close call. It isn't even a close call. If you want to be married a year from now, you won't be living as a married couple a month from now. What's important, in my view, is that everything we talked about today, you now take as a to-do list. You have to resolve everything on that list, all of your feelings about everything on that list. This list becomes a to-do list that you've got to, Brian, you've got to make amends and deal with everything on your list to her satisfaction. You have to deal with everything on your list to his satisfaction. You have legitimate complaints about her. You had an illegitimate response to them, but your complaints are legitimate. If you're going to be a wife and a mother and live as a couple, you've got to change some things, and you've got to change some things, and that can't happen like that, and you cannot move back together. Your children do not deserve a revolving door daddy. Do you agree with that?
I agree 100%.
Do you agree with that?
I agree.
I'm not telling you to finish it up and get a divorce, but I'm telling you, if you want to stay together, prove it. Prove it by doing the work. Prove it by getting involved with some constructive things to get through this to-do list. We'll be right back. Deanna, how do you feel about what I'm saying to you?
I know we both need to make changes. And I'm willing to do it.
Brian, how do you feel about it?
I feel like it's a long road to haul. I mean, that I've got to, if anything's going to work, and it's, I want a family. I've always wanted a family.
But you haven't valued your family. You didn't treat them as the precious asset to you and your life that they are.
That is correct.
You've snubbed them, violated them, and dishonored them. And so that's what bothers you, and that's what has to change. All right, I've put some helpful information from my book, Relationship Rescue, on the website. So you can go there, click on today's show, then click on Regaining Trust. And I'm going to have some steps in there. There's just some very specific advice for getting past an affair if that's what you decide that you want to do. So I really appreciate all of y'all being here, and we're going to make some resources available to you, and we'll track this and see where it goes. Thanks for being here. So long.
Today on an all-new Dr. Phil, women who carry their babies everywhere, but these aren't their children. They're lifelike dolls.
It's in the process of being reborn. Right.
Do you think you're too old to play with dolls? That's just creepy to me.
The difference between your hobby and an obsession.
This thing's not going to wet on me, is it?
Plus, she hasn't cut her hair since she was 13 years old.
Are you ready? I'm backstage watching our special correspondent, comedian and author Stephanie Wild Taylor, as she shows some of our audience a doll that is so lifelike, people mistake it for a real baby. It's part of a new craze called reborning, where women say they obsess over infant dolls that look like human babies. They dress them, shop for them, take them out. Our show today is about obsessions and how they affect our lives. Reborning is just one of the obsessions we're going to talk about today. Sometimes otherwise rational people can get completely obsessed with dolls, dogs, people, that it totally takes over their life. Maybe they're focused on appearance, weight, money, revenge. Obsession is the front end of OCD. Think about that. So today we're answering the question, when does habit, passion, or hobby cross the line and start getting in the way? Start making your list. You may learn something about you today.
Stand by, Dr. Phil. Some say it's a hard life, but it's hard for us all. Always hold on. In 10, always be strong. Reach out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Stand by, camera 6. Go, Dr. Phil.
So, what is an obsession? Is it harmless, or does it dominate your life? Now, how is it different from, say, a passion or a habit or even what we call a quirk? Well, today we're going to get to the bottom of what they are, what they aren't, why we have them, and what purpose they serve. Now, some of y'all thought this baby was real, right? Who saw the baby? Did you think it was real? Yeah. Because we had you on camera talking to it. We had you talking to the baby.
A little bit.
A little bit. I mean, y'all, they really are real looking, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, okay, here's what some people say their obsessions are.
I'm obsessed with playing video games. If I go away, I start getting withdrawals and I want to click the mouse buttons even though I don't have a mouse in my hand.
My obsession is cleaning house.
It would be my husband. I just can't be without him a day.
I'm really obsessed with going to those wonderful Indian casinos.
I cannot go a day, nor probably even an hour, without playing a game of Spider Solitaire.
I'm obsessed with being a germaphobe, and I prefer not to have someone cough or sneeze in my vicinity. When people walk by, I'll whoosh my hand, wave my hand to just try to spread it away.
He created like his own language for it. It's called wusa, and he goes wusa, like he does this weird thing.
All right, the term obsession is kind of a wastebasket term, you know, kind of like addiction and other things that get overused and people just don't really know what they are because they just don't understand it. Here's some of what the audience thought obsession meant. First, they said they thought it was a conscious preoccupation with ideas that interfere with thought or quirks. Now, that one is dead on, okay? So that's my definition. Let me define quirks for you. A peculiar habit or mannerism, some aspect of your personality. You can have somebody with a quirk, you know, you guys kind of quirky, but otherwise they do okay. Habits are behavior patterns that are acquired by frequent repetition. You just do something over and over. Passion is a strong desire or devotion to something or someone. Now, my first guest today is 30-year-old Nona. She says that she is definitely obsessed with her hair. Now, why would we have to pick that? Okay. She says her obsession started when she was just 13 years old. Take a look.
When I was growing up, my hair was very long. It was always brushed in beautiful ponytails or braids. When I was 8, I went into the salon for a trim. The lady was specifically told to trim my hair. I went with my 2 sisters. The lady asked me, "How do you want your hair cut?" I said, "Like my sister." She looks at my sister Cindy, grabs my ponytail, and cuts it off. That haircut affected everything about my life. I went from being a pretty little girl to a little boy. One year for Halloween, my brother and I decided to swap costumes. I was a cheerleader and he was a football player. I wore his football jersey to school, and nobody realized that it was me. They thought I was my brother.
Okay, so here's the deal. Anona won't ever step foot into a salon. She says, no, not happening. She refuses to get her hair cut or colored. She says her hair is definitely her security blanket. Take a look.
If I'm feeling insecure about my body, I can always take my hair and put it in front, and they can't see any of my imperfections. My long hair is me. I am the girl with the long hair. That's my identity. If I don't have the long hair, what's going to be pretty about me?
Okay, so you're obsessed with this hair, right?
Dr. Phil, I'm so obsessed with my hair. Let me show you what I have.
All right, let's see this. Oh, wow. Oh, wow, wow.
This is my hair, Dr. Phil.
All right, so why do you think it's such a security blanket for you? What's the deal?
When I was younger and I walked around with a mushroom on my head and looking like a boy.
A mushroom?
A mushroom,
because you got
Dr. Phil.
whacked off.
Yes.
So you look like a boy?
I looked like a boy. I acted like a boy. Everything about me.
That's the mushroom?
Yes, and that's tame.
The truth is that obsessions do serve a purpose. And it gives people this idea that they are in control. It's like if I obsess about, germs on a doorknob, and so I clean the doorknobs all the time, I feel like I'm in control of this. And if you obsess about your hair, then you have control over that. Nobody can do it, so it gives you a sense of being in control, because that was taken away from you once, right?
Yes, it was. My mom would not let me grow my hair out once it was short, because she saw how easy it was to take care of. She said it wasn't until I'd be old enough to take care of it myself that I could grow it back out.
It's been 17 years since Anona cut her hair, and she says she is ready. She says she is ready for a big change. Now, I don't cut hair or know a thing about wardrobe, as you can see. I mean, Robin dresses me like a Ken doll. I'm the poster boy for adult Garanimals. Everything matches when I travel. So I had to ask for some help. VH1 has a new reality show called Glam God, where they search for the next great celebrity stylist. Please welcome the host of the show, actress Vivica A. Fox, and celebrity stylist Philip Block. Hey guys, how are you? So good to see you. How you doing, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. Well,
Philip Block.
So, Vivica, what do you think here?
Oh, baby, you need some style gods to come in and rescue you, girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got some scissors here? Okay. So what we have here are some scissors. And what all of my producers want me to do is make the first cut.
I trust him.
Now she's nervous. I know.
Like, make the first cut. Like, no.
We gotta go down.
Like maybe here or here.
Let's say like right about in there.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. I don't cut hair. And I'm not going to cut your hair. But if you want to make a first cut, you can. Now, that's up to you.
I'm ready.
That's up to you. I'm not, listen, you can say no, you can go sit in the audience, we can go on with the rest of the show. You don't have to do this, but if you want to do it, you need to start this, because we're not going to do it to you.
All right. There you go. Get more, we don't have
I don't know, what do you think? I get me a weave going here or something?
Yeah, baby, because she got plenty of hair to create a great weave, as a matter of fact.
You could do us all out here. Okay, well, here's the deal. Vivica and Philip are going to take Anona backstage, see what they can get going back there, see if she can buddy up to your hairstylist, and then we're going to check with them later in the show and see what magic these guys work on this beautiful lady here. All right, you guys can go off that way. We'll let you go to work. All right.
Woo! You're going to look bad. It's going to look great.
Yeah.
It's going to look great.
No, I'm not about to cut somebody's hair. I'm hair challenged enough without doing that. All right, up next, move over Beanie Babies. There's a new craze in town called reborning. Women who take plain-looking dolls and turn them into lifelike babies. These things cost thousands of dollars. Is it an obsession or a hobby? We're going to find out when we come back. Well, today we're talking about how normal, rational people, and by that I mean people that, they have jobs, they have lives, they do good things, and then they get caught up in their devotion for animals or inanimate objects that you have to wonder if it's hobby or if it's crossed over to obsession. Now, we heard about a group of women with an unusual interest in collecting and creating dolls so incredibly lifelike that they're called reborns. Now, this season, we're having some special correspondents report from the field. This was a perfect story to send comedian Stephanie Wilder-Taylor to the suburbs. She's the author of Sippy Cups Are Not for Chardonnay and Other Things I Learned as a New Mom. Take a look.
So what is it about reborning that people get obsessed with?
They look like real children.
This has taken doll collecting
to a whole new level.
In a completely different direction,
Yes.
and become this craze that people can't get enough of these babies that look like babies.
Right, and some
So is
people
that's
make
what
them to look like their children.
Do you think that's a little weird?
I think it could be, if you don't have control.
But you have control.
Yeah.
Okay, this one scares me. It's just
Yes.
Lucky staring at me.
Go to sleep.
That's Brielle. She's hefty. Now this is
Vinny.
Hey, Vinny.
That little one's name is Ryan. And the reason that I was attracted to him was because he reminds me so much of my grandson.
A funny story about these three guys right here, what we call them, the three Jesuses. Happy Jesus, sleeping Jesus, not sure he wants to be here Jesus.
That one looks like he has a little mascara on.
We just finished our basement, and in the process of finishing the basement, we decided to put in like a work studio. So you're actually at the christening.
So this is a room that you created just for the dolls?
This area here is. These are actual kits.
Oh, God. Okay, do you see anything wrong with this picture? That looks like a horror movie.
These have not been painted, they have no eyes, they have nothing. This guy's getting his body today. He hasn't had a body for a long time.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is about keeping it real. That's just creepy to me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's just creepy to me. I'm not saying it's sick or anything, but just to me, it's creepy.
It was creepy to me. I mean, when I first went there, I was concerned just from the name alone. I mean, Reborners. That sounds like a cult.
Yeah.
My friends were concerned.
Doesn't sound right.
No.
Doesn't sound right. And the fact is, there's nothing untoward going on here or anything. These are doll collectors. They just really get into it. But I don't know. It just seems kind of odd to me.
Well, to be honest, I talked with Catherine. She's such a nice person, and she seems really down to earth. But then you go into her house, and she has two rooms entirely devoted just for the dolls. One is the feminine room, and one is the masculine room. And there's like 20 real-life looking dolls in each room, just kind of staring at you. Just kind of looking around.
Yeah, well, I guess it just wouldn't be right to keep boys and girls together.
Apparently
So they gotta
not.
have separate
But
rooms.
these are full-on nurseries for babies, and there's not a baby in her house.
Well, Catherine says that she is addicted to reborns. Now, she hosts a party with friends who also collect and create reborners. They call it Doll Day.
I love her. Isn't she cute? She's precious. Right, Brielle?
She's heavy, I know. She weighs about 7 pounds.
12.
This is Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
She is with the Dr. Phil show. He couldn't join us, so she is to find out exactly what we do today.
Well, good. Here, have one.
Have you ever known anybody to formula feed their newborn?
No.
Their reborn?
No. But
Because breast is best.
Right. True.
Now, who's this?
This is Michael.
And so this is his hair. Little Donald Trump
style. So this one went into the Cracker Barrel, and she got quite a response, actually. So, but she was cheap date. She didn't eat anything.
So the reborning is what you do to the baby. So this right now is just a doll.
It's in the process of being reborn.
Right.
Hello. Hi, little guy.
Sometimes when you're just goofing around, like, do you rock them and
Sure.
sing to them? And
Sure, I think it's a natural reaction for a woman when she's holding a baby in her arms to rock. I find myself doing that. That doesn't make me psychotic. I yearn for the days when my children were younger because I enjoyed being a mother so much, and I enjoyed watching them and the little expressions in their faces. Of course, you miss those days and you want to recapture those days.
Okay. So this is
one of them.
This is one of them. Does it have a name?
It has a name. It was given by the artist Trevor. I didn't have a problem with that name, so I left it that name.
Okay. When you move its arm from underneath, it makes
Yeah,
it
it looks sort of
look like it's kind of real.
Yes. But I think the sleeping ones look more real anyways. I think the ones that, we discussed this the other day.
Yes.
The ones that don't blink can get a little eerie. So I sort of prefer them sleeping myself because I think it just looks like a child at peace, sleeping.
But Catherine told me that some people actually want their eyes open because if I'm going to pay that much money for a doll, I want that thing looking at me.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
But so do you rock the baby? Like your friend was saying, I'm not psychotic, but I rock.
No. Actually, it's funny. I see it more as an art form. I mean, because these things start out so plain. It's like when you saw the heads, the gruesome little heads and bodies that were in the shelves. I think it's an art form, I really do. And the reason I brought this one is because this is not one I personally made. I have great respect for the woman who did make this. That's one I did make. And mine's more of a, I think more of a passion than really an obsession, to be honest. I have 2 rooms, but they also started out as my grandchildren's nurseries.
Yeah.
So it was real convenient when I made another room for them, a playroom, to go, oh, I have a feminine room and a masculine room, so I'll put boy dolls in one room and girl dolls in another room.
Do you think you're too old to play with dolls?
Yeah, probably.
We'll be right back. Well, you know what some people would say, and I mean it's true of people that become really engaged with like pets or dolls or whatever, is that it's just really low demand.
Right.
You don't have to really do anything. You don't have to engage. You don't have to interact. And so it's a regressive sort of thing to a really low demand relationship, so you don't have to engage in a healthy relationship. But the truth is, you have friends and family, and you're engaged at every level, right? Because I have to tell you, as I see this, I think some people can get over-involved in this kind of stuff. You don't strike me that way at all. This, to me, and this is what we were talking about before, the difference between an obsession and a hobby. Now, when we were talking to you, you used the word obsessed to describe yourself, but I think you used it in kind of a lay term, like you're really into them.
I'm
That
over
sounds to
top
me
on
like-
everything, really.
But that sounds to me like a hobby.
It is a hobby.
Like a passion, because for something to be an obsession, that means that it involuntarily crowds into your consciousness, pushes other things out of the way, and you can't think, you can't act, you can't do things. That's what obsession is. You see that in obsessive compulsives, where they have to wash their hands all the time for a sense of control. And so they can't go fix dinner because they're busy washing their hands. They can't go to the movie with their friends because they're busy washing their hands. It's so intrusive. That doesn't seem at all what's going on with you. This seems like a habit.
It's a
hobby.
It's a hobby and a passion. And I have to tell you, the responses you get, when I purchase the doll, occasionally you shouldn't leave, I mean, we don't know yet, but you shouldn't leave them in sunlight for any length of time. And if I have one, I've actually had an incident where I came to my car and this couple were getting ready to call the police because they thought I left a sleeping baby in my car.
Yeah. Can I see the?
Sure.
See
And
the
so
baby?
now I have to, if I ever have one I've purchased or I'm taking to someone to deliver, I have to take it in with me because I can't afford to have the windows fixed on my car.
Wow, that is real looking when you look at it. And actually, that's the way I held our babies, too. I mean, I don't know. Their heads would bob all around and stuff. Okay, but and it's like the right weight and everything, right?
Yeah. I mean, really, a lot of thought goes into this. I mean, people, you know, they figure the balance of the weight and they look at the skin texture, and you know, we were showing her the other day. They looked really.
Some of them look very real, but the creepy. I got to tell you, the creepy thing is, and I think you would agree with me. when their eyes are closed and they're just laying in a cradle,
Sure.
they look dead.
Sure.
I mean, they don't. Once you kind of get over the momentary, it looks real, it's like a house full of dead babies. Not to be really morbid, but I mean, doesn't that sort of
doll
lose its
collecting's been
appeal?
going on for years
This thing's
and
not gonna
years
wet
and
on me,
years.
is it?
No. That's the beauty of these. They're really low maintenance in the long run.
How much have you spent on these things? Roughly.
Are you talking dolls in general or reborns?
This is not an essay question.
Well, I mean, there's a difference.
No, I mean, how much have you put into this hobby?
Okay, but am I going to be on your segment for divorcees when I convey this?
Maybe, but there won't be a custody fight.
I'm kidding. No, true. No, probably between the paints, you know, the paint, the hair that's really not too inexpensive, but you don't use a lot, and...
Are we talking 50 grand here?
No.
Catherine.
No.
You told me
Between...
50 grand.
No, you need to show the whole thing.
Don't
I said
lie.
between 40 to 50,000 total on dolls in the last 14 years.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying. For 40, 50 grand.
For dolls, not this particular kind. Right.
Yeah, well, no. Well,
But that's including antique cradles and cribs and high chairs and...
She puts diapers on the babies.
Oh, sure. They fill the clothes out.
this is really a hobby
Right.
for y'all, and you get joy out of it.
Right.
And it doesn't interfere with your life. It doesn't intrude on anything, yeah.
I mean, I sat with all of them. They're very nice, normal women. But to me, it did seem like when you told me that when you go to a doll show and you see a doll that's, you know, a couple of grand and you kind of make like a soul connection with it because it looks slightly to the left of another one that you have and you just can't, you want to leave, but you have to go back and get it. It's like almost
Not
like you're
soul
adopting
connection.
a baby.
I said you would go out and you'll pick up a doll and you'll go, no, I don't need that. And then you might come back and go, why does that doll remind me of something? And then you might gravitate toward it because you go, oh my golly, that reminds me of a little boy I had to babysit.
Okay, I vote hobby on this. Y'all vote hobby, or if you say hobby, raise your hand. If you say obsession, raise your hand. A few of you think, I think it's a hobby.
Thank you.
And I hope you continue to enjoy it.
Love
It looks
it.
fun to me. I mean,
Thank
I
you.
wouldn't do it, but if it's what lights you up, light it up. All right, next, are you worried that your child might have an obsession? I'm talking about your kids here. I'm going to tell you how to recognize one developing in children. We're going to meet a mom who says she doesn't understand why her 7-year-old daughter has to live, breathe, and sing Elvis. 7 years old. We'll be right back. Talking about obsessions today, and it's really important to recognize if you do have an obsession. Is it something that's intrusive to you, crowds out other things in your life, and interferes with what you would normally be doing? Now, the question, though, is what happens when you notice your child is developing a really strong interest in something? Now, my next guest, Heather, says her 7-year-old daughter, Kaylee, is obsessed with a celebrity who has been dead for 31 years, Elvis Presley.
This is my daughter, Kaylee.
She's had a strange obsession with Elvis since she was 2 years old.
This is Kaylee in what we call the Elvis room. As you can see, we've got a lot of her Elvis stuff that she has, and it goes all the way around her room. And when we started running out of room on her walls, we started going to the ceiling.
This is my favorite thing in my Elvis collection. There's records all over my walls. I got a picture with Elvis, my Elvis doll, Elvis glasses, cards, cup, pen, postcard. I have an Elvis plate, everything that you can almost think of. Greatest thing about Elvis is he's handsome.
And trust me, Dr. Phil, with her massive collection, Kaylee never tires of Elvis. It's a non-stop Elvis parade.
Dr. Phil, can you please tell me if this is normal?
Okay, so what do you think?
I think she could be into worse things, but it's been going on since she was 2, and most kids, you know, they'll get into something and they'll get out of it, and, you know, it'll come as a phase. And she's done this since she was 2, and it's not ending yet.
Is it here's the question I always ask people. Sometimes I get lots of questions where they'll say, Dr. Phil, is this normal? Or actually, I get the question a lot, Dr. Phil, is he normal? And the answer to that question is something is normal if it doesn't interfere with your other functioning. I mean, if you're able to think, feel, act, deal with your life without interference, then, you know, that's kind of a broad definition, but then what you're doing is probably okay. If it's starting to interfere in some way, and we're talking here about your daughter, if it was interfering with schoolwork, friends with people, you know, young girls or boys her own age, exercise, all the things that you expect a kid at that age to be doing, then I'd say it's crossed the line to abnormal. Is this interfering?
No, she is a straight A student. She's never made anything below an A. She is very interactive. She plays ball in the summertime. She has life, but now when it comes to big events, scheduling vacations, birthday parties, it's got to be Elvis. We're going to Tupelo or we're going to Graceland, you know, it has to wrap around Elvis. It has to.
Well, from the sound of your accent, that's probably not far from your house, is it?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm from Tennessee.
Yeah, that's what I say. I mean, it takes one to know one, right?
Yes.
We're from the South.
Yeah.
But do people tease her about this?
Kids at school tease her. Her kindergarten year, we went backpack shopping. We went to a place in Tennessee, it's a big mall, and she found an Elvis backpack. She had to have it. She didn't have one, so I got it for her.
All right. So what's your question for me?
Is this normal? Is it normal that a child as young as she is can be so much in love with something like Elvis?
It's unusual.
Right.
But that's not abnormal. Look, kids look for something to define themselves. They look for something to identify with, something to worship, look up to, live vicariously through, you know, kind of get devoted to in some way. And that's why you have dolls like, you know, what are these American Girl dolls and all of these different things that they get focused on. For her, it turns out to be Elvis. And it's not something that you want to rip away from her. It's not something that you want to punish her for or whatever, but you may need to redirect because I assume from 2 to 7, her income has been pretty limited. Yeah. She probably hadn't worked a lot, so I'm guessing that it's you
mainly
that's going and buying all of this stuff and turning her room into a shrine.
Right. Mainly, but we have everybody in my family does this now. People out of state bring stuff when they come on vacation for her now.
Okay, but you're the gatekeeper.
Yes.
You're either buying it and giving it to her, or you're letting people flood the house with it and give it to her. And if you want to change that, then you have to start putting the brakes on that.
Oh, my husband's putting his foot down. He's really trying really hard to.
Well, but you guys have to be unified about that. And as I say, you don't punish, you start redirecting. And stop buying it all the time. Quit buying it. There's a real great word in parenting. No. No. You know, you're not going to get that. Because if you do, kids can get into it. Again, to me, this doesn't sound like an obsession. It sounds like a hobby. It sounds like an escape for her, and that's okay. But it's getting kind of intense, so it's time to start redirecting and move on to some other things. Start introducing her some other things, some other heroes, some other people that she can emulate, whether it's in academics or sports or church or wherever it may be, and she'll find her way. And trust me, the changes that are coming in her soon as she starts approaching puberty and all that, I think old Elvis is probably going to be in the closet before long. So I wouldn't worry about it, but I would start redirecting her.
Oh, that's good. We just spent 2 hours this morning walking down Hollywood Boulevard looking for the Elvis star, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, well, that gives you 2 hours back in your life. All right, up next, Vivica A. Fox tells me about her secret obsession. Plus, later, you're going to see a Nona's big reveal. 3.5 feet cut off after 17 years. Will she do it? Or is she back there choking and trying to put that hair back on? We'll be right back.
Y'all got some funny kind of toilet paper here.
We can't deal with this toilet
Hey,
paper.
tell me about it.
You know what I mean? It's rough.
Yes,
Right?
you know, it's an
Right.
environmental thing. She's doing it for the environment. Well, what can I do?
Okay, well, can you do us a favor? Can we get some soft toilet paper
The
then?
baby's behind.
All right.
She's hurting.
Okay. All right. You want soft paper?
Yes. Oh, yes. No doubt.
I'll get you your soft toilet paper.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Under one condition. I want access to the toilet.
All right. That was Vivica A. Fox in HBO's Curb Your Enthusiasm. Now, Vivica has a new show on VH1 called Glam God. This reality show combines all three of Vivica's favorite obsessions: hair, makeup, and wardrobe. But she says she has one more. So, do you have an obsession?
Shoes.
Shoes? All right. Now, so how many pair of shoes do you have?
About 500 too. But I give some away when they get played out.
Okay. Now, that was half a sentence. You said about 500 to...
Well, if you include the boots, probably about 650.
650 pairs of shoes?
I have 3 closets, and they're all full with shoes. But you guys, I have to go to a lot of events. I do, and sometimes I supply my wardrobe for my movies and my television shows, and sometimes you can't wear the same thing twice.
Of course not.
Yeah, of course not.
Of course not. Now, you have a lot of shoes, but you don't have 650 pairs of shoes, do you?
No, I don't. I do love shoes, and I wish I had that many, but no, I don't.
You wish you had that many.
I wish I had the room for that many.
See, what is the deal with this? Because, guys, I promise you, you want some black shoes,
right.
You want some brown shoes,
right.
You want some tennis shoes.
Right.
And then you're done.
Right.
And I got some golf shoes.
But shoes can start a whole conversation. I'm telling you, it can be like an icebreaker. You know, you can be sitting somewhere and you walk in with a good pair of shoes on, like, oh, baby, where you get those shoes at? Next thing you know, you and her are best friends.
Yeah, but
I'm
you
trying to
said
tell
her.
you.
I've never had anybody come up to me and say, hey, Doc, where'd you get them shoes?
True. They come up and ask you other things, I'm sure.
No, but I do notice Robin's shoes because I pay attention and I learn.
Oh, and she's got some fabulous ones on today.
Oh, you do?
I love those. Those are beautiful.
Can you tell something about those shoes from here?
Are those Alexander McQueen?
No, they're YSL.
YSL's good. Yeah, I tell you that they're
And you know what
costly.
that means?
Yes, that's Yves Saint Laurent. Yes.
Oh, so that's code for...
Yes, YSL,
Okay.
like Dolce & Gabbana's D&G.
All right, now y'all tell me if this is a lie here, but how much does a flashy pair of women's shoes cost?
These were $1,300, those are $7. Oh, you didn't know? I tell you what, though.
Now, hold on.
Okay.
You ain't telling me nothing. You paid $1,300 for those shoes?
Yeah.
You ain't got a brain in your head.
Oh, yes, I do.
You paid
know how much
$1,300
brain I've got in my head? I've got 2 pairs. I've got a pink one, too. Some pink ones.
Oh, no. Do people pay that much for shoes?
Sure, see? Girlfriend right there does. Yeah.
Do you pay that much for shoes?
Do you?
No, I'm talking to you.
Me? No.
Oh, really?
You know, one...
Excuse me, hairball. All right, so what do you not have that you want?
Oh, probably children. That will be
Children?
next, yes.
Well, you need a man for that. So are you in the market? I'm not making you an offer.
No,
I'm just curious.
Well, you know, because, Dr. Phil, I want to find a man that's equally yoked. I've been married before, and I just think that now in my life, I need to find someone that could deal with my career, how much I work, you know, and the sacrifices that I have to make. Now, of course, I'd love to have a husband, but I'm up for adopting a baby. I believe there's a lot of children out there that need love and, you know, who are in foster care system that, you know, I can make a good mom. I make a great auntie. I take them and buy the best shoes.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll bet. Ruin them forever when they get home.
I start them on starter kits.
So when you do Glam Gods on VH1,
Yes.
we're talking about this kind of bling. You're talking about really hooking people up and getting them right.
Well, Glam God is all about celebrity A-list event styling for celebrity when they go on the red carpet.
Right.
So, you know, when you go on the red carpet, you've gotten anywhere on about $100,000 worth of jewels, you know, the dress. So it's styling for celebrity red carpet events. And these stylists, they're wanting the opportunity and the exposure of a lifetime. They're competing for $100,000, the title of Glam God, and a styling agent.
So they're gonna win $100 grand.
$100 grand. You want to sign up?
Plus get a big rep. No, hell no. Hell no. Well, is there anything left that you haven't done? I mean, major movies, television. I mean, is there anything you haven't done that you really have in your sights? This Glam Gods is a great thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be a lot of
executive
fun.
producer as well.
Yeah.
Probably in the future, direct.
Yeah.
You know, that would be wonderful for me. For right now, it just takes a little bit too much time when you direct because you have to live with the project for a little bit longer than what I like to. So maybe in the future, I'd like to direct. Because I'm producing now and starring in things, so I'm kind of in front of the camera as well as behind. I'm just glad I'm still here. I'm going to keep it real.
Well, what's up?
Thank you.
What's the most fun role you've done out of all the roles that you played? What was it, do you have a favorite or something that you really had the most fun doing?
Well, oh gosh, can I name top 3?
Sure.
Okay, Independence Day was wonderful with Will Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a nice little niche movie. Didn't it make about $800 million?
$800 million, yeah.
See,
I mean, you know, when
things.
Will does it, he does it Big Willie style. So, you know, he opens big all the time. Two Can Play That Game. Yeah. That was my first starring role. And it taught girls about the tricks of relationships. And also, I would say Set It Off with Queen Latifah, Jada Pinkett Smith. And Kimberly Elise.
Yeah.
You know, that was the little movie that could, because it was a movie that we made for $9 million that a lot of people didn't think that they would take seriously, and people went to see it 2 and 3 times, and it's become like a cult classic.
Yeah, you and I know that there's a lot of work that goes on behind the camera to have those great roles, but they're still great to see them come to fruition and,
my
pop
goodness.
out there.
I mean, people have no idea that when you do produce a film, how much work it goes in with the casting and the script and shooting it. I mean, when we were shooting Set It Off, we were filming in downtown Los Angeles at night.
Yeah.
So that made for quite an adventure, but we got it done.
Yeah, quite an adventure.
It was.
All right, well, coming up, she hasn't cut her hair in 17 years. We're going to reveal Anona's new look. Vivica's got it going on backstage. We're going to see what happens when we get back. Celebrity stylist Philip Block's client list includes huge stars like Halle Berry, Salma Hayek, Vivica A. Fox. Now, Philip convinced Anona it was time to throw away her T-shirt and jeans and get rid of that hair down to her rear end, which she's had for 17 years. Now, her husband Jeremy says he can't even imagine seeing her any different. So that's all you've ever known, right?
Yeah, since we've met.
Just that one look.
Just the long hair.
But fashion-wise as well as hair, because she's kind of static on the fashion front, and the hair just keeps getting longer, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much, okay. So let's take a look at Anona before. Do we have that? Okay, here she is before. And the good news is she's as cute as she can be. I mean, just like this. But here she is now. Come on out, Anona. First, before you say anything, what do you think?
That is awesome, Dr. Phil. Thank you.
That is great.
You good?
So, tell me what you think.
I love it.
You do?
I love it, yes.
So you're okay with it? You like it?
That's
yes.
Beautiful, Mom.
Now, you said before that you didn't ever want to look like a boy. I don't think anybody's going to confuse you with a boy with that haircut at all. So but you're good with it?
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah?
There you go.
Okay.
Do you see yourself right there? Well, that's the back of it. Look how beautifully it's layered. It looks great.
Okay, look over here. You see it in the front.
Yeah, right there.
Strange. Oh, wow. You look great. She said, oh,
So you hadn't seen it. You didn't mirror up on
not
this.
Yet, no.
Okay.
She was just going by the feeling.
Yeah, it felt so much better.
We layered it for you.
So pretty and
this is really easy for you to maintain. The only thing you have to do is just put like big giant hot rollers in it, take it out, run your fingers through it. You're ready to go.
Volume.
Right, volume.
And listen,
That's all you
she's
gotta
telling
do.
you true because that's what I do.
Exactly.
Shake it out.
Yeah, shake it out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we really want to thank Vivica and Philip, and you can catch Glam God on VH1. We'll be right back. Well, I want to thank all of my guests today, and thanks to reborn artist Judy Plant for loaning us one of her reborn babies. It was fun to watch people react to that. I want to say thank you to Macy's and BlueFly.com for a Nona's new look. Now, whatever you think about an obsession you might have, as long as it's not disruptive to your life, it brings you peace, calmness, joy, then there's nothing wrong with it. I'm going to have those definitions that we went through on the show on drphil.com so you can look at them. I think pretty much everybody we talked about today is pretty much hobby. And it only becomes an obsession when it really crowds things out of your mind. But I thought we had a good discussion about it. Thank you guys for being here. We'll see you next time.